Ah. Ah. Hi, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. How's it going? Happy Friday. My name, of course, is Alma Hexblade, your head guildmaster and chief barista, and today we are learning, maybe. I've always said that the show's learning Jason. I never actually said we're learning things, but we're gonna find things out. We're gonna find things the heck out. So, like, I had this thought, I think last week, 2 weeks ago, where I wanted to do like a Y2K special edition of Findin Out Friday. I mean, not everything we're gonna be watching is good about Y2K. Although a good amount of it is. Some of it may be long. I'm just gonna warn you now, but we're not gonna start with it. But like, that's gonna be like the main centerpiece of today. It's gonna be Y2K stuff. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. So yeah, hold on, give me a second. I have everything already set up because I'm not a scrub like what most people would say. And we're gonna talk about things that I do hope crash in the near future, just like Y2K. NFTs. I'm kidding. We're watching a video about the title of it is what was it? How I hacked a hardware crypto wallet and recovered $2 million. I'm already fascinated by the fact that you can hack a hardware wallet. So we're good. Also, I guess for people who don't know, hardware crypto wallets are like a thing. And they're basically just kind of like the house keys to your cryptocurrency. I don't know. I jumped ship a long time ago. I have no idea, man. Anyway, let's find out, as it were.
What if you had a couple $1 million stored on a piece of silicon the size of a postage stamp, and it was protected by a password that you forgot?
I would die inside. Next question. Thanks for watching that next video.
Chips like this are in all sorts of different types of hardware wallets out there that are supposed to be used to protect your recovery seeds and your private information in the world of cryptocurrency. But a lot of people forget their passwords, and if you forget your password, if you can't access the information on the chip, you're out of luck.
I do wonder how these things
we're dealing with today. Some guys contacted me out of the blue. They have a Trezor hardware wallet, and they have a couple $1 million stored on a device like this, and they want me to see if I can hack the wallet, defeat the security, and get access to the information so they can prove that the money is theirs. I'm Joe Grand. I'm a hardware hacker, computer engineer. Hacking a product like this is an amazing challenge. It's like solving a puzzle, and we really only have one chance to do it right.
It's kind of like a TPM chip. I mean, if it's a TPM chip.
Joe, what's happening?
Sorry, let me
also
I gotta take the
I also don't know how a TPM chip works. I don't know how microcontrollers work. I'm just like, oh, this is the square that holds the security. This is the square that holds the brain. That's all I really know about TPM. About like microcontrollers. I know it's like secure storage with like inputs and outputs and stuff, but like, you know, we'll just find out. Let's just keep learning. We're a minute in, and it's a 32-minute video.
Electrical tape off my camera. How's it going?
Good, man. Good to connect and talk shop and hopefully make some progress on this stuff.
Are you excited?
Yeah, you know, in my mind, honestly, I've told myself that whatever happens one way or the other is going to be a great story. It's just going to be a question of if it's going to be a really expensive story or not. But either way, it's going to be one for the memory books.
Yeah. Hacking is nothing like what you see in the movies. There's not graphical things moving all over the place. It doesn't take a split second for something to happen. It's a huge roller coaster ride. It's solving puzzles. It's forcing computers and forcing hardware to do things that they weren't expecting to do. You want them to misbehave in a way that you can control.
Contract looks good. I think the changes we wanted that are now counted for.
For me, as you know, the main thing was just like getting that waiver of liability so you're not going to sue me if something goes wrong.
For this project, I've been working 12 weeks to try to defeat the security in a way that's reliable and that isn't, hopefully, going to erase the contents of the device. Now that we're here, and we're filming it, and Dan is on his way, and we're gonna do the real thing, there's a lot that can go wrong.
You have the device, you got it from Jesse.
Yep.
The main thing that I'm kind of worried about, bringing it through the X-ray, and maintaining control of it. For the X-ray, like, you know, most electronics is going to be X-ray safe. It's not like they're using super powerful X-ray. What I've done a lot of times is like ask for a manual inspection.
Yeah, this thing isn't leaving my side.
What I'm doing with this attack is kind of like disabling an alarm system in a museum and stealing the jewels. Except actually, it's like somebody made an exact copy of the jewels, put them behind a locked door, and then I went and kicked in the door and stole the jewels, but then the original jewels are still there. It's a little bit crazy.
Yeah, sweet. So I fly out, 8:15 flight to...
What? That metaphor made no sense. It's basically, I'm going to break in and read what's off of it is not... Whatever.
tomorrow.
Don't drop the token.
Honestly, I'm more afraid of losing and or dropping or misplacing the token than the thing getting fried in security. I'm gonna duct tape.
I hate those
probably.
kinds of
Well,
comp sci metaphors.
duct tape it,
Yeah,
'cause that will
they're
I'm
like...
gonna duct tape it,
eh?
but-
Any sort of tape will generate static electricity, which we don't want to do.
One of the most important things
Calm
to
the
me
fuck
being a hacker is to discover some superpower and then educate other people about it, inspire other people about it, and help people using my skills. When I was a kid, that was not the case. I got arrested for all sorts of computer-related things, and it was doing a lot of what I call technological juvenile delinquency. But now that I know that I can use my superpowers for good and help people, that's the beauty of hacking.
I want
I'm
to...
informed that within 30 minutes, the seven of you could make the internet unusable for the entire nation. Is that correct?
That's correct. Good morning. My name is Kingpin. I am the youngest member of the Loft and one of the electrical engineers and hardware hackers.
There's no malicious intent. There's no criminal intent. It's to help these guys who have lost their password get their money.
I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great flight. Be safe. Protect that treasure.
You know a computer science student knows their shit when they can actually do when they can't do metaphors.
Cryptocurrency is a decentralized system of digital currency. Unlike traditional financial systems where trust of the currency is based on banks and governments, with cryptocurrency, the trust is based on the strength of the cryptography that it uses. The type of cryptography that's used in cryptocurrency systems varies depending on the cryptocurrency, but generally it falls into public key cryptography. You have two pieces of your key. The private key is something you keep to yourself, and you use that to sign the transaction to prove that you initiated it. The public key, which is derived from the private key, is used to verify the transaction. The blockchain is a type of technology that's used with cryptocurrency as basically a decentralized digital ledger. So every time there's a transaction that happens, it's public and the ledger cannot be changed. In the case of Dan and Jesse, they lost their private key because that's something that's stored on their physical hardware wallet. A hardware wallet is essentially a general purpose computer that's storing your private key. But if you forget your password to your hardware wallet, you're kind of screwed. Unless you find somebody like me.
Good
I'm
morning.
so tired.
Today is the day I'm gonna hack this wallet.
Man, I hate crypto. I hate the description
And
of
we get to
crypto.
see if
I just hate it.
The 3 months of work.
Maybe I'm just biased now because I watched that one video, that Folding Ideas video.
I'm just waiting for my taxi to pick me up.
But
Are you
God,
coins at all?
like the important thing here that I think is currently missing is that he hasn't distinguished what makes this special in comparison to literally any other microcontroller in the world. Like, they all have, like, you know, different types of chips have different types of, you know, things like this have some kind of encryption to it. They all basically function generally the same way. What makes this different than, I don't know, hacking the security on an encrypted flash drive, because that's technically what this basically is. You know, what makes this different than, I don't know, making your Xbox play games from a region that it wasn't compatible with or something. But right now, I don't see anything special about a crypto wallet that makes this warranted, other than the fact that it can just hold a majillion dollars somehow. By storing an encrypting key.
Oh no, I'm so afraid about that.
Kind of just pacing around my office. Even though I know it's possible, it's still scary.
A few years ago, a friend of mine and I were investing in buying some crypto coins. Not Bitcoin, one of these other unique coins that we wanted to buy, so put a little bit of money into it.
It's funny, my wife actually came in today and she said, Joe, have you read your horoscope? And I'm like, no, I don't really read my horoscope. For some reason, she read the horoscope and it said something for Virgos, beware of problems with technology.
You had to put it on one of these hard wallets that
That's
kind of
funny.
look like a USB stick. Time went on, the price of these coins went up and up and up.
In other news, I just sliced my hand taking out the trash. It's not my soldering hand, which is good.
I hit him up and said, time to free the coins, sell them and give me my money back. Turns out he forgot the password, so he couldn't send me my money back.
I do have all of my Trezor devices over here that I've been using for the
Oh, good,
various
he's been
attacks.
practicing.
The one that's set up like this is what's going to be used for Dan's attack.
The irony of it all is my friend that lost the password plays poker professionally for a living, so he has like photographic memory. He remembers everything. He remembers my license plate from high school, and of all things, forgot a 4-digit PIN password for this device.
4-digit PIN. What? This thing's secured by a 4-digit PIN? You mean the same dumb thing? Hold on. I will show you math really quickly. Let's think about this really, really quickly with like math, okay? It is a 4-digit PIN. The numbers are going to be between 0 to 9. That is 10 digits. 10 digits to the 10 to the 4th is, I forgot what that 10 that is. Someone tell me what 10 to the 4th is. 10 to the 4th power. 2, 3, 4 is 10,000 combinations. That's fucking nothing. In terms of pin cracking, that's nothing. You can do that easily. I'm going to assume that there's going to be like this thing, for at least for this wallet, like after X number of tries, this thing is just going to go fucking bye-bye and it just kills itself. That's what I'm guessing. But holy shit, bro. You mean the combination on my locker at college, at high school, was more complicated than this thing? Fuck. Also, I do enjoy the fact that he is actually literally cleansing spirits from his hacker space. You know what? I'll give him props for that, because that's what I do.
Clear the air for today.
He is
Long story short,
he's
you know,
cleansing the area of spirits.
because I met some engineer hacker online. All right, let's go to the security. Who's gonna hack this device and try to free all these coins?
So Dan is on his way from New Jersey, and I hope he didn't put the Trezor through the X-ray.
I just made it through airport security. The device did have to go through the X-ray machine, which is no big deal because computers can and all my other devices can.
It's not dangerous to put them
Dan is on the
into.
way with the wallet.
It's not dangerous anymore. The only time it's dangerous is like if you had like film, because that shit is actually like reactive to radio, the radio frequency that X-rays emit. Like they'd fuck up your photo negatives. They wouldn't kill your computer. Because like, I don't know what, the amount of energy in an X-ray is nothing, really. It's not gonna break anything.
Dan's coming and he's driving down the street backwards.
Okay, wait, correction. It might break something if the random number generator or pseudo random number generator used in that uses the decay of radiation in order to generate and seed numbers for the encryption. But that's usually for the setup anyway, so that doesn't really count in this case since the wallet's already established and was already set up with a key. Holy shit, that's more... That went probably beyond everybody's heads. If you want me to explain that again, I'll totally do that. But, whoa.
Did you drive this way all the way from the airport? What's up? Did you drive this way? How's it going? Nice meeting you. I know. Great, you exist. You got the thing?
I got the thing.
Awesome. I heard you had to put it through the X-ray machine.
I did put it through.
Right.
Want anything?
No, I'm good, thanks.
I'm glad I get a good chunk of that. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
We are. You want to tell them? We're hacking a hardware wallet that has a lot of cryptocurrency on it. He forgot his password.
Well, I didn't forget the
Basically.
password. My friend forgot the
His
password. Okay, let's begin. So, to add insult to injury on this whole thing, with the Trezor hard wallet, if you attempt the password incorrectly too many times, the contents of the wallet will erase. And so we scoured the earth in Google to try to find people that could help. Turns out our most promising leads came down to Joe, this hacker we found on Google. And then these other guys in Europe, they are based in Switzerland at some secret lab where they would perform the attack. When I asked them if I can come to the lab to see what they were doing and ensure that this was legitimate and real, they said that they couldn't do that. I was
Fuck that.
willing enough for them to even like put a bag over my head and bring me to this lab just so I can see that they were not going to steal the device and actually do the work.
They're going
Around
to
that
steal the
time,
device.
Joe started to make progress and for the first time show that he was able to crack the device. And all the while, Joe was incredibly transparent with how he was performing the work. Very quickly, it was clear he was engaged. That's why I got on a plane this morning and came to Portland to hopefully free the coins.
They keep saying that like that's a thing.
I tell people I'm a technology minimalist or like a technological curmudgeon because I know too much.
Technological minimalist is right. Dude, you're using the default Dell keyboard and mouse that you bought with your Dell computer years ago, and you have it on a MacBook stand.
Performing the work very quickly.
I mean, I'll give him credit right after because you see a giant ass oscilloscope that probably costs more than how much my financial debt is. So, you know what? I'll let him be.
More like a technological curmudgeon because I know too much. There's a lot of stories of people forgetting their passwords of hardware wallets and losing a whole lot of money. This one was actually from 2017. A friend of mine, Mark Fraunfelder, had 7.4 Bitcoins that were worth $3,000, and he had written his recovery seed on a piece of paper, and the cleaning person came, threw that out, and he's like, that's okay, I still remember my PIN. But it turns out he also forgot his PIN. Once he found somebody who could hack it, it was worth $32,000. And it just shows that this was 4 years ago when cryptocurrency was in its infancy.
It's like worth
this was still happening.
10 times
There's another
that
one.
much
This
now,
one,
isn't it?
man makes last-ditch effort to recover 280 million in Bitcoin he accidentally threw out. So this guy had
Did that guy find his Bitcoin? You know, the guy who he accidentally threw the hard drive in the dumpster? Did he ever find that? Hold on. Did he ever find that? I'm gonna look it up now. Hold on. Dumpster Bitcoin. Okay, the last piece of news I have is him doing a giant search for it in July of 2021, and that's all I got. Did he find it? Yeah, couldn't. I don't know.
7,500 Bitcoins. His private key was on a hard drive. He had 2 hard drives that looked identical, and it turns out he threw the wrong one out. He realized after...
Bitch, what? Why don't you look in the hard drive before you throw them out? Who gives a shit if they look the same? What? That's like saying there were 2 pet carriers in the airport, and I just saw the one that looked the same as mine. What?
For a couple months that the drive was missing. The interesting thing is that the hard drive is in the local garbage dump. It's a needle in a really disgusting haystack.
These people
Man
okay
has two guesses
sometimes.
to unlock Bitcoin worth $240 million. This is not uncommon, and these are just the major stories. And he wrote his password down on a piece of paper that he has lost. Crazy. I would almost guarantee with extreme certainty that we could hack something like that. Especially for that amount of money, we'll figure it out. For the Trezor 1 device that I'm hacking on, there have been exploits developed over time to break security of the device. So when Dan contacted me and said, hey, can you break the Trezor? I was like, sure. I thought I'd be able to replicate some of the work that was out there. What ended up happening is a long tail of 3 months of effort, of trial and error, and trying different techniques until I got it right. I knew that the attack would need to take advantage of something called fault injection, where we're basically causing misbehavior on the silicon chip inside of the device in order to defeat security. And what ended up happening is I was sitting here watching the computer screen and saw that I was able to defeat the security. The private information, the recovery seed, and the pin that I was going after popped up on the screen. I kind of didn't think it was right because that's not what I was trying to do, and ended up mentioning it to my wife later on. She's like, well, so you did it. And I'm like, I guess.
Okay. When he couldn't recreate it, I'm like, all right. And I walked into his office and I said, okay, tell me what you did, take me through the process.
But I don't know what I did. Like, I don't know how that happened.
And we were in there for an hour or so, kind of going through it all.
Recreate your steps, retrace everything you did that day.
I said, did you write it down? Did you write down everything you did? And he showed me, and he literally wrote everything he did. And he said, but then I did this, and I did this, and I talked to this person at the same time.
So I looked through my command line history of what I was doing on my computer and
Brain's trying to figure
started
it out. I'm just like,
at the beginning of the day, would start a Zoom call, would run the commands that I had run on my computer, completely separate from the actual attack. Was I plugging something in to my computer that was causing some glitch on the Trezor that happened to be connected? I just could not replicate what I did.
this is why you record literally every single step you do. It's like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I am baffled that that he managed to not do this. Like, I don't know, open up OBS, start a recording. I mean, he also wrote it down, so like, I don't know, maybe I'm not giving him enough credit, but I've seen like people hack the Nintendo Switch with the same type of like thing. And also, he didn't explain. Oh, I just realized he didn't explain what a fault injection was. Hold on, I'll explain it. Let me just double check I'm right. Yeah, so like fault injection is basically a technique where you basically try to intentionally cause problems on purpose to the chip. Like you give it some weird feedback that it wasn't expecting, or I don't know, I want to call it like maybe the technical version of really just kind of beating a safe until you see a crack and taking advantage. Like like it can be done in like multiple ways, whether it be like doing it hardware style, like shorting out some pins in a weird way, or giving it more voltage or less voltage when it was expecting something and causing it to bug out like that, or stuff you can do in software. He's probably talking more about hardware and fault injection, which is basically kind of probing the chip with different types of frequencies or different types of circuits to get something out of it. Ignore the thing that's on the screen that I'm pretty sure I just put up.
So he was really defeated, and he can do anything. So in my mind,
My wife kept saying, you know, computers do what they're told, which generally is true unless you force it to do something unintentional, which is kind of what we're doing. I slept on it, woke up, came downstairs, looked through the source code of the Trezor device because I figured at some point in that process, that recovery seed and that pin had to be moved into that RAM area that I was able to access through my debug interface. This is exactly why I can perform my attack. This memcopy function right here, I checked future versions of firmware. This was 1.6.0. In 1.6.1, the next small revision, that function had been removed and the whole memory structure actually had been changed. It turns out that I found an area in the source code where on PowerUp, the secret information gets copied into RAM, and then when I do my glitch to defeat the security of the chip to give me access to RAM, the contents are there and I can get them out.
I felt really good to.
Basically, so what he's going to be trying to do in this fashion is basically cause a problem for the microchip at that step, and that will cause it to give up some information that he can use further. I'm like generalizing this very vaguely, but like that's kind of what's going on. I wish I could say more, but I'm not like a hardware engineer. I did computer
Help
science,
with
not
something that I
engineering.
knew nothing about.
So yeah, let me give you a rundown of like the whole setup, just so you can kind of get a feel for the process and what we're seeing. In order for this attack to work, we have to use a bunch of different hardware. There's a security feature inside of the microcontroller, inside of the Trezor, that prevents us from reading the memory contents. So what we need to do is figure out a way to defeat that security so we can read the memory. The security mechanism only happens on PowerUp of the Trezor device, which means when we're doing our attack trying to defeat that check, we need a way to power cycle the Trezor over and over and over again. In order to power cycle the Trezor, I'm using a device called the Phi Whisperer. We're just using it to power the device on and off. This glitch only works if we glitch the chip on PowerUp. So it's something where we have to turn the device on, try to glitch it. If it doesn't work, turn the device off, turn it on. Once power to the Trezor is applied,
repeatedly.
we want to try to defeat the security check at exactly the right time to trick the chip into thinking that we have access to it, when in reality, we shouldn't. To do that, we use a tool called the Chip Whisperer, and we're using an attack called a fault injection, or a voltage glitch. That basically means that we're trying to force the chip into misbehaving in some way that's beneficial to us. We're basically taking advantage of the fact that electronic systems are defined to operate within specific parameters, and the vendor can only guarantee functionality within that area. My question is, what happens when we operate the device outside of that? And that's what we're doing with glitching. If we can glitch the chip at just the right time, we're gonna defeat the security, and then we can continue with our attack.
I feel like I'm back in school.
Okay, so metaphor time that actually makes sense. Metaphor time that actually makes sense. Here we go. Okay, so now what this exploit's basically doing is, let's say you're trying to get into a bar or something, or like a nightclub, but you're underage. So there's, there's outside, there's you on the outside, there's the bouncer who's going to check your ID, and then the club. So the steps in this process are normally, you go to the bouncer, you show them your ID, he checks it, you go inside if it's good. What he's doing here is basically trying to he's basically like showing the ID to the bouncer. At the same time the bouncer is looking at it, blind him, and because this is the metaphor breaks down here, but so ignore this part. So because the bouncer's default state is to let you in, because he did the check and the decision's already made when he does the check, so it should be fine. Blind him at the same time he's looking at the ID. And then he's like, okay, yeah, you're good, and go through. And doing that repeatedly until it happens. And that's timing based.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like school, except the tools are way more powerful now.
And the stakes are A little bit
A
higher.
little bit higher, yeah. The way that we know that we've properly defeated security is that the chip will enable what's called a debug mode. And a debug mode uses an external piece of hardware like this to let a legitimate engineer normally read memory and do general debugging of a microcontroller. In the case of the Trezor, if we defeat the security feature, it will enable debug mode and only let us access one particular area of memory, which is the RAM. The recovery seed and the pin, that private information that we need, is copied into RAM. We also need to modify the Trezor device to allow us to connect it up to the rest of our hardware. That's gonna look something like this. All of the hardware pieces are tied together with this custom circuit board. And if everything works properly, then we win.
That's not a custom circuit board. That's a breadboard that you put shit on.
When Miles, my 9-year-old, came in here and I started doing this, I'm like, it's kind of like when you're glitching a video game.
Yeah.
You know, and like somebody finds some bug and you can skip the level or do whatever. He's like, oh, so you just have to get the timing right to do the glitch. And I'm like, yes. Okay, should we do it? You can tell I'm nervous. You're like cool and collected and I'm sitting here like tapping my feet. And
Well, I have, it's out of my hands at this point.
You want to do it? You want to do the handoff?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's do it.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Wow, there it is.
I actually have a video after this that makes more sense and is more entertaining and not dreadfully boring as crypto.
Alrighty.
But it's the same process.
Thank you.
But it'll be more interesting.
So now that I have it, you're not allowed to touch it, right?
Great. I don't want to touch it
Okay.
anymore. It's in your
Cool.
hands.
This is it. Millions of dollars on this exact Trezor wallet. And
Snap it in half.
We're gonna hack it.
Oh.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was the last time you plugged this in? That was recently, right? So like
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Charge
Okay.
the
All right,
fucker.
so we know it worked then. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug it in to my computer, make sure that it actually confirms the firmware. So it seems to function so far. So now my computer is gonna communicate with this device. See what happens. Okay, firmware is out of.
No, we're going back. I want to see what that said. That's not fair.
Firmware.
Because he like did it and then just like
When was the last time you plugged this in?
I feel like he's obscuring it for the sake of entertainment.
That was recently.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I want to see what the actual thing said.
So
Hold
we
on.
know it worked then. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug it in to my computer, make sure that it actually confirms the firmware. So it seems to function so far. So now my computer is gonna communicate with this device. See what happens.
Oh, okay. So basically, this is part of the. You guys can see the cursor. He's using the software, like the open source software, to bug keys or the like tools to figure out what the hell's going on. So, and then the important bits are over here. So, we have the bootloader and the bootloader hash to make sure that the bootloader isn't compromised in a way. Any security flags, the device ID, imported from somewhere else. Did it initialize, which is true. Major, minor patch revisions, needs backup, passphrase protection. Pin protection, true. And then the patch revision, unlocked, false. And then, so this really means nothing. It's just saying what device status it is, which is 1.6. And there's nothing really funky with it, but it is responding, and that's I think what they're trying to get at. But there's nothing in here that they can use right now.
Okay, firmware is out of date. That's good. So this is 1.6.0. Everything is set.
Sweet.
Now we can go and crack it open and start. The one risk that we face here is breaking something as we're opening the case. So I'm
Don't
doing really
be
light
a weirdo
cuts here.
and like cutting, like, you know, snap it in half. Just be gentle.
I can feel it. Part of it's getting through.
No.
All right, no damage on.
Side note, one bad thing he did that probably he shouldn't have done is, this part. Don't do this. Don't stick metal into the thing to pry open something that has metal inside. Like, if you needed to do that, use like a credit card or like a guitar pick or something, because it's conductive. So you might short something or just damage something, or if you slipped and put too much force, this would go right through it, and you might break something. That's just someone who knows how disassembly shit works. So, you know, be careful.
No damage on that side.
Yeah, especially a device that's not designed to be opened. Don't do that. The hobby knife thing is fine, but otherwise,
Formal coating on it, which is the protective layer to protect the components. So that makes it a little bit harder for us to solder to the connections. So my next step is to apply some chemicals to get rid of that coating and then start soldering wires.
just clean it, dude. Also, technically, hey, isn't that... Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he'd taken separable apart, but I'm like, don't use... Be extra careful on the thing that has the $2 million on it.
Like to get it as clean as possible. Sticker is off. I'm going to use a conformal coating remover pen, and really we just need it over the connector that we're going to solder to and over the components that we're going to remove. Otherwise, if we try to solder to those connections, they might not make a good connection.
Okay, so he's ignoring this bit, but I'm pretty sure he's ignoring this bit, so I'm gonna explain it too. Where's the cursor? Here's the cursor for everybody. Okay, so this bit this section right here is the debug ports for debug mode. So, when, this device is made, these are here for the debugging purposes of the people who make it, for quality control. It's because they don't have, they don't need to, like, plug it in and make sure whatever. They need to make sure that all the connections are actually working, or, like, access backdoor stuff that they're not like, the normal user's not supposed to access. So, that's what these pins are, and that's why they're here. You'll see them in a lot of devices. Not necessarily in this fashion, but basically if you see like 6 holes next to each other, like that, or like in a 3x2 formation. I forgot what it's called. Is that JST connector? Hold on. What's it called? Ah! Oh my goodness! Is that a raid? Phase, fairies, and everything. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Hello, 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 everybody. My name, of course, is Alma Hexblade, local guildmaster, chief barista here. Welcome to Books and Brews Cafe. I'm just gonna give you guys a shout out, if I remember what the command is. So, of course, thank you very much, Pagan Pixie. Forewarned. Ooh, that's cool. What kind of game is that? I feel like I should know what that is, but I'm not right. Ooh, like a cafe. Do we have any cupcakes? Of course we have a lot of bakery stuff for you. Hello, new friend. You're cool. Thank you guys all for the follows. I very much appreciate it. So today, cookies? Yes, we have cookies. Yes, we have cookies. We have, like, a bunch of stuff. So, let me explain what's going on here. Today, we are doing our little... Oh, Forewarned is like Phasmo, but it's more Egyptian. Oh, wait, I think I know what that is. Yeah. So, let me explain what's going on today. Today is Friday, which is our little Finding Out Friday, which is our media share day. And specifically, it's more for educational content. And, so, less memes here, more education. I'm teaching guys, so, like, I have a, I know I'm a witch, but, computer science is basically witchery. I have, a degree in computer science, so I can explain what's going on. We are currently watching a video where this guy is trying to hack a, cryptocurrency, like wallet, for the purposes of retrieving $2 million from it, and I'm trying to explain some stuff about it. You caught me right there, but I mean, obviously we just started, so we're gonna keep going. Let's continue on with the rest of the video. But right now, what we have here is this guy basically broke open this little hardware thing, which is basically where all the crypto keys are stored, and it's worth a lot of money. So he's gonna see how he's gonna do it gently and see how to navigate it. I might swear because I'm like, I don't know. We'll see what he's gonna do. But thank you for the raid. I very much appreciate it.
So now that hard epoxy just kind of peels right up.
Your hat is liquidy? No, my hat is not liquidy. My hat is mana. It is concentrated mana in the shape of a hat.
We're good to go. The next step is we have to remove a couple components from this board. The components we're removing are capacitors, and by removing them, it makes the chip more susceptible to those little glitches and stuff that we're doing. What I'm going to do is use my soldering iron and just very carefully heat both sides of the part and pull it off the board. The risk at this stage is
it's a lava lamp. Yeah, it reminds a lot of people of a lava lamp. It's very shiny.
Hopefully won't happen.
It's my main. It's like my.
Yeah, there's two.
Mainstay.
One is easier to get to than the other. Okay, first one's off.
Homie, there's a better way to do that. Homie, there's a better way to do that.
Got it. All right, so those components are off. Now all I have to do is add the external connectors. That's going to let us hook it up to the hardware over there.
This part is nothing. I think he's okay. If you remember back to where this beginning part is, there are holes here. He could have just threaded them through, but you know what? Whatever.
External connector.
I'm not the one doing this, so. I'm not the one doing this, so you know what? I'll just let him do whatever. That guy is the wallet's owner, so he's watching him do that because that's a lot of money, you know.
It is prepped and ready. Let the glitching begin. How you feeling now?
That's crazy stuff.
So I'm gonna plug in our different hardware. Plug that into this connector. There's an eyelash on the table.
I know this is a little,
Now
it's
let's get our scope
a
on.
little intimidating, but it's not that bad.
And so when I start this, it's going to start our full glitch attack, and it's going to go step by step trying the different glitch offsets until it hits. Let's just run the loop. So this is the main loop. It's going to power cycle, check over and over again if the debug interface is opened. As soon as it works, we get that device ID, then we know it's wide open for us. I'm going to start it. Ready?
I'm ready.
Nook, thank you for the follow. And everyone else, and thank you for the follow so much. Enjoy your complimentary cups of coffee and or drinks, and have a nice one.
So now we wait. This is it. It's the police stakeout.
Yeah.
We sit here and eat donuts, and then a couple hours later, something good happens. Should we take bets on how long it's going to take?
I'll say it's going to go within an hour, within 1 hour.
I'm gonna say it's going to be between 3 and 4 hours.
Okay. Or it doesn't go within 4 hours, and
that's a possibility too. I mean, it could take longer. It could take 6 hours. Could take more because we're only testing 1 a second. and we're going through a pretty wide range of about 10,000 attempts, but it might need to go through another loop before it hits it. So we don't really know. Hopefully we don't have to stay overnight, but we're just gonna let it run until it happens.
10,000
So what was happening
attempts.
is I was sitting here for hours at a time, just looking, making sure the lights were blinking, and it got to the point where I was like, I just want to like use my computer for other stuff. So I made a little audible thing in here. It's gonna say a little phrase.
Hack the planet. Jeez.
When it comes up, which is actually
It's like you can tell he was an old school hacker if he's referencing stuff from hackers.
To talk
really
about the
strange
arson.
because
Oops.
You're just sitting here and then it says it and you're like, oh shit, it worked. I'm gonna go for a pepperoni.
Sweet.
So
Vegan pepperoni.
basically what's happening in this section is that they're trying to basically glitch out the security on it to let them through without actually enabling the security. And how they're doing that is basically changing a certain voltage on the chip at a specified time to bypass that security check, because the security check happens when it's powered on and only when it's powered on. So if you mess with it then and then make it work fine otherwise, it should work. And that's kind of what's going on here. And he has it automated so that it's going to keep doing attempts and trying to figure out what time, like what offset it should be on to enable this function. This will take a long time, but that's why it's automated, and they're just gonna wait.
See it blinking. I see the J-Link blinking, and that makes me feel good. What's actually interesting is there's sort of these like repeatable spikes here, which I don't remember seeing before. It's like 1 kilohertz. It's really interesting. So these spikes, I'm guessing, are going to be from the lights. So if that's the case, we might want to change some of the lighting.
Oh, you think the light and the frequency
Might be causing some issue. I mean, it still might work, but I'm curious because this doesn't match what I saw.
So if you turn off the lights, you think the spikes go away?
Yeah.
So that's got to be
something that wasn't
Something that
here
wasn't- yeah.
when I was doing the testing before. Can we kill? Let's kill the lights. Let's
It's
see what
very
happens.
it's
Let's
very
try
scary
this
to see
one.
what happens though.
Still there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's this one.
Still there.
They're turning on the lights because there's interference on the measuring device
Still there.
because it's that sensitive.
Wireless mic.
Yeah. Let's.
I mean, it could still glitch fine. We have no idea. But that just makes me a little nervous. I'll disconnect this guy. None of this should matter because it was all plugged in before, but to be safe.
I honestly think at this point they're just being
Still
paranoid.
there. No, let me turn off the robot lights. Okay, hold that there. I'm gonna power everything back on.
Because it's still doing its thing, you know?
Yeah, it's still there. It's that same repeating with that glitching. Well, I have a ground here that's shared, but I'm thinking like,
That might be.
Yeah, that might be it.
don't tell anyone. Don't forget your ground clip, kids. That's like engineering 101. It's almost always a stupid problem too. And what's interesting is we were seeing the spikes because the ground wasn't connected, but the chip was still seeing the right thing all the time. But now it's set. Our signal looks way better. This thing looks like it's happily glitching.
And now we wait.
Now we wait.
It's a lot of waiting. It's just a lot of drama, but I mean, I guess the amount of money that's involved here is kind of understandable.
Pizza's here. Nice. The fuel of hackers.
It's good.
Good.
It's got a little kick to it.
This is what hacking looks like, though. Like in actual reality, it's literally just sitting waiting for your script to work. You know, it's just sitting down, literally just waiting for your script to work, and that's about it. Did they seriously record for 2 hours? Oh my god.
If I start acting erratically and lunging at the circuitry, throw me to the ground. There's like nothing to do. There's literally nothing to do.
Do something else. You're sitting in the same room for like 2 hours. Do something else. We're watching people.
This is torture.
We're waiting. We're waiting people. We're waiting on.
Oh,
Yes!
it's like it knew.
Yes!
I'm like, this is torture. Hacked up planet.
Oh, that's
my
awesome.
god. OMG, like they say on the internet. Okay, so that was 3 hours and 19 minutes, which is right within that sweet spot. Oh my.
They made 3 hours and 19 minutes feel
But now the question
much longer
is
than
that
3
too far in
hours.
the boot process? Did we miss an earlier glitch that's going to keep the contents in memory?
So when we find out.
I'm already shaking. All right, I'm too excited. This is the literal money shot.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is the money shot. Okay, so
Inside contains money. So
now I'm going to run the external program to extract the RAM.
and the worst part about this is that
Okay, we've successfully copied the RAM.
we
out of the
actually
device.
can't see what the results
Now
are
we
here
can
because
run
it's a
strings and
private
look at
key.
that file, which has been
Meaning
sucked off of this device. So we're done with this.
we will
hardware.
not be able to
Contents are in the
actually
RAM.
see, and we'll
We
just
have it on my computer.
base
right
it
now.
on
I'm
their
so
expression
nervous
if
right
it
now,
works.
You don't even understand. I don't know if you can see like sweaty palms. Sweaty palms.
All right.
Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Ah!
Yeah, see, there we go.
Yeah, buddy! Woo! 12514. We did it! That's how you hack a wallet. All that pain and suffering. Oh, that actually reminds me. Can you pay me now?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh my god. It was like that pause between clicking that
I'm
command
happy
and
it
seeing
worked
come up
out
with,
though.
like,
I mean, even if it's like something annoying as a crypto wallet, it's glitching
oh,
stuff and
yeah,
hardware
free
hacking is
data.
super cool.
Look at that. So that's it.
So
1, 2, 5.
I'm happy it worked out.
And he thought it was 1, 2, 1, 5 or something like that.
Clay got 4 out of the 5. That's I have something to tell you.
I know. You texted mommy that it was
How do you know it worked?
everything inside.
Isn't that awesome?
It would be.
Yay.
Honestly, I
Thanks
think it
for
would
the
be
support.
really cool to have a kid who gets what you're doing.
How did you feel?
I kind of appreciate that.
Why?
It's because you finished it. It's cool that my dad's a hacker.
Thanks, that was cool.
That's
I was sort of skeptical about it, especially when he told me how much money there was on it. I was like, that's really risky.
Well, I knew he was going to do it, so I wasn't as excited and
yay.
shocked as I thought I'd be. I mean, I was happy, very happy for him and everybody, but it wasn't a surprise. This is what he needed. I've been telling him for years that he needed something other than teaching. He needed to do something else. And I always say, like, you
You need
have
to
this
actually
skill
do
set.
something.
So why are you not using it to the fullest potential? So this helped him realize.
Hacked by,
It's
and he uses his old hacker handle. Oh my god, this guy is adorable.
That was emotionally draining. About a year, probably a little bit less, we thought, at least I thought, that we were never going to see this money again. The coins were gone forever. Now we just went on this emotional roller coaster that's come to an end.
And this only happened like
That was
what,
crazy.
January? The video was posted January 24th,
This project
so
was a perfect example of what hardware hacking
less
is all
than
about.
2
The
weeks.
trials and the errors and the failures and the successes, and having it all culminate in this final attack where we could extract the recovery seed from a protected microcontroller. One thing that Trezor does really well is they keep track of all of the security vulnerabilities that people have found and reported to them.
Also, as
We
a
don't see
side
that
note-
lot in the hardware space. The fact that Trezor has a website where they publish all of that information, acknowledge that there are problems and fix them, is something that really should be applauded. What we did with this hardware wallet is only just the beginning. There are so many people out there with challenges,
It's very
whether
nice, no.
other people have forgotten their passwords that we need to pull off of devices, or they have other pieces of technology that they need to extract some piece of information from. If you have some crazy story needing...
As a side note, this same glitch and stuff is the same process that people use to hack the Nintendo Switch. So I think that's probably more interesting and more relevant to people because that's more interesting. But like, I don't know, I'm happy for him. And I'm glad it happened. So let me see here. Some of these might be a bit... I always get worried about the Y2K stuff because I always thought it was so long. But you know what? Okay, I have an order for this. Okay, there we go. So that was cool. That was the first video only. So the next one is going to be... some of you guys might not even be old enough to know about Y2K. So we're going to watch a video learning about Y2K and then explaining what to... Actually, you know, let's just do... We're going to watch a video first explaining what Y2K is and then what people in the 90s did to like prevent it and freak out. So... And now this video is by LGR, and it's LGR Tech Tales. So Y2K, the year 2000 problem. Hopefully this will make sense because LGR does a very good job at this.
1999. A once distant year that still sounded like science fiction was rapidly coming to a close as the year 2000 approached, with massive millennium celebrations planned to greet the 2000s with excessive partying.
This is 20
But
years
looking
ago.
beyond the street festivals and boundless optimism, there was an undercurrent of pessimism and anxiety surrounding a computer glitch known as the Millennium Bug, the year 2000 problem, or simply Y2K. Set to occur at the stroke of midnight, capable of instigating all manner of disruptions, ranging from the mundane to the apocalyptic. And yet, once the new
23 years
year
ago.
arrived, with few newsworthy problems occurring, many assumed the Y2K threat had been exaggerated or was even an outright hoax. What happened?
With the millennium only hours away, many people are working down to the last minute to fend off the Y2K bug.
It's been called the world's most important extermination job, eliminating the year 2000 computer bug.
The federal government now has 10 response centers across the country staffed round the clock.
The chance of major dislocation in our economy, the major dislocation in our standard lives is very low.
That dude has a
I would
huge
certainly agree
unibrow.
that it's below 10%.
When agencies are saying they're making good progress, they're 99% compliant, they're going to be there, they have every assurance that they'll be ready in time, let me translate that to one phrase. They're not ready yet.
These global issues are the direct result of an equally real human oversight many people now refer to as the
Liam
Y2K
Neeson.
or year
Not
2000
Liam Neeson.
problem.
Leonard Nimoy.
This is a problem.
We were close.
Things are going to be broken. The electricity may be broken. We will have to be patient while it's being fixed. And you know what? While it's being fixed, we might actually enjoy some family time.
This is LGR Tech Tales, where we take a look at noteworthy stories of technological inspiration, failure, and everything
Don't
in
tell
between.
anyone I confused
This
Liam
episode
Neeson
tells the tale of the infamous Y2K bug and the crescendo
and Leonard
of panic
Nimoy.
that ensued.
Please.
So what was the year 2000 problem to begin with? Well, Y2K, or Century Date Change as it was known for a while, can be most easily described as a calendar problem. For decades, computer programmers abbreviated the 4 digits of each calendar year down to the last 2 digits. So the year 1965 would be truncated to 65, for example. While humans had the common sense and context to understand a 2-digit year, the actual computers might take this at face value, meaning that the year 2000 could instead be misinterpreted by a computer as the year 1900, deeming 010100 to be an earlier date than 12/31/99. In hindsight, this seems like an easily avoidable problem, but when the shortcut was first implemented, it didn't pose any immediate threat. In fact, it made complete sense. Some of the first widely used computers in the United States, like the IBM 1401 introduced in 1959, were programmed using paper punch cards. These punch cards were a holdover from the electromechanical tabulating and accounting machines computers replaced, and operators of those had often punched in 6-digit date codes in the interest of saving time and space. So when it came to start using computer programs instead of accounting machines, the same 6-digit date code carried over as well. Then, once the venerable IBM System 360 came along in 1964, its operating system continued using 6-digit dates to maintain backwards compatibility when emulating IBM 1400 programs. These abbreviated dates also had the welcome effect of saving a couple bits of data per punch card, slightly decreasing the number of cards per program and lowering memory requirements.
Like, remember, like, you know, being worried about Y2K is honestly, in my opinion, like, it was pretty reasonable. It's an understandable problem. I mean, it's an understandable thing to be afraid of, especially in the 90s when everyone was more worried about how their new computerized automated systems and, like, I don't know, you know, electricity, accounting, like all the new stuff that came over with, being able to computerize things, like what would happen. That's a valid worry.
Consider that a single 2-kilobyte board of core memory could cost a couple $1,000s, around $1 per bit. And a 5-megabyte hard disk cost tens of thousands more, so it made sense to truncate programs any way possible. Sure, 6-digit years were a tad vague, but big deal. No way anyone would be running 1960s computer programs 40 years later.
Spoilers. They were.
But that's exactly what happened, especially in the realms of government, finance, and infrastructure, where bureaucracy was high and change was slow. And it's not that computer programmers didn't think ahead. This century date change, or CDC problem as it was called, was noticed early on. All the way back in 1958, computing pioneer Bob Beamer was one of the first to address the issue publicly while he was an employee at IBM. He was working on a genealogy program in conjunction with the Mormon Church, and the researchers needed to distinguish between the years 1900, 1800, 1700, and so on.
Okay.
2 years made this impossible, so Mr. Beamer came up with a way of programming full 4-digit year references in COBOL. Logically, this could become a problem in the future once the year 2000 arrived, but despite Mr. Beamer repeatedly voicing his concern for years, the practice of 2-digit year entry continued.
It's only going to be a problem in like 50 years. I'm sure they're going to come up with a better solution than that. We're going to fix that in 50 years. We're going to upgrade to better systems. Don't worry about it. And that's what they say to everything ever, every single time. You know, it's like 40 years in the future. Who cares? It's not my problem right now.
Considered such a non-issue that on November 1st, 1968, the Federal Information Processing Standards Publication 4, the standard for calendar dates,
Someone
was
else's
introduced.
problem, yo.
This outlined
Exactly.
how all information exchange between U.S. government agencies would use the now standard 6-digit date, ensuring its usage far into the future. And again, this didn't go unnoticed. Another IBM employee, Peter DeJager, came to his own realization about the year 2000 problem in 1977 while testing a new banking system. He recognized the looming glitch, persistently voiced concern to his bosses, and like those before him, was very much ignored. It simply wasn't a big enough deal yet, and fixing so much code would be costly and time-consuming, and nobody wanted to do that. A bit more credence was finally given to the idea in 1984 with the release of Computers in Crisis by Jerome and Marilyn Murray. In this book, the Murrays laid out the history of the problem, what might happen if it's left unresolved, and how to address the flaws in 6-digit date programming, complete with hundreds of pages showing examples of corrected computer code.
Oh, why?
Still, even as recognition of the problem rose among programmers and computer users heading into the 1990s, it wasn't until the rise of fledgling internet services that the century date change problem truly gained traction. Arguably, a contributing factor is the term Y2K itself, something far more catchy than century date change. The coining of the term is usually attributed to a programmer by the name of David Eddy, who
It's his fault. It's his fault. Blame this one person. Blame this one person for this entire, like, systematic change. What? No.
first used Y2K to refer to the problem in an email sent on June 12, 1995, spreading virally from there. But beyond a catchy name, what finally made governments, companies, and the public sit up and take notice of Y2K in the mid-90s?
Was it someone
The answer
over-exaggerating
is
it?
simple. Panic.
Yep.
Never
All
underestimate the power of public panic.
Let's go. People freaking out.
My main worry is the energy grid. And if we can't get power, we can't get water.
So it's something that is totally unpredictable.
I think there are individual banks that will probably go bankrupt. There are individual credit unions that will disappear over this issue.
What the fuck, dude? Yeah, I think all your money is just gonna disappear all of a sudden. I think a business will collapse within the second.
Some people will die.
Fuck me, what?
The sooner you start your preparations, the better your opportunity to get the supplies you need at reasonable prices.
Doomsday shelter.
Websites, TV specials, radio shows, newspaper opinion pieces. The Y2K coverage grew exponentially starting in 1996 as the new millennium drew ever closer.
The next video we're gonna watch is one of those TV specials. So I want to see how good this gets. It could be basically like it could be like how we watched like the Fallout promotional videos or something.
And IT professionals warned with increasing volume of the impending problems that would occur. By 1997, many experts were declaring a point of no return time bomb was approaching. And who knew what chaos might ensue if things weren't soon addressed? Especially when it came to computers that were now a couple of decades old, like those used in electrical grids, air traffic
Reefer
control,
madness, but
social
with
security,
computers. Maybe,
emergency
yeah.
response systems, banking and financial institutions, hospitals and hospice centers, oil refineries and gas processing, and of course, all those scary-looking nuclear power plants and missile silos. The more the news coverage increased, the more people started wondering, what if everything turned off?
On January 1st, 2000, everything will explode. The nuclear missiles will be launched across the globe. Global panic. We are all going to die.
At once on January 1st. Or worse, what if the glitch made systems go haywire, dropping planes from the sky and launching nukes at random? Soon, century date change bills were enacted at state and local levels, bringing in tech firms to assist in rewriting old code. Former COBOL programmers were brought out of retirement to help fix their own programs from the 60s and 70s. Individual contractors were hired by countless institutions and businesses, starting at $1,500 a day in
Yo, whoever thought about the consulting fees is making bank. $1,500 a day? In the 90s? Like, yo, these guys are making bank.
1997. Governments, corporations, and small businesses around the globe were finally taking Y2K dead seriously in 1998, with an estimated $300 billion to $500 billion spent globally once it was all said and done.
Yeah.
Of course, that was just the response on an official level, all those large institutions still using decades-old hardware and software. You'll note that personal computers haven't really been brought up as a major concern, and with good reason. A sizable margin of home computers were never going to be that affected by Y2K relative to many computers and mainframes. Even going back to the early Macintosh and IBM PC systems from the 1980s, those accepted the full 4-digit year 2000 no problem. Granted, there were countless PC clones, many of which used 2-digit years in the BIOS, as well as the bigger problem where your computer and OS was compatible, but your older software wasn't. A good number of applications still only recognized the last 2 digits, but by the late 90s there were very few of those programs still in use, and what remained likely wasn't controlling anything vital to society. Windows, Mac OS, Unix, even MS-DOS, none of these systems were ever at much risk, especially by the mid to late 90s when the public finally started caring. And larger businesses like Microsoft made sure to let users—
God, I love this image of Bill Gates. Like, look at his neck. Like, look at his neck. It's just he's just sticking his neck out like this for the photo.
know there were updates for any of their outdated software, even offering a free Year 2000 resource CD-ROM to help
Amiga?
users better understand the situation regarding PCs.
Was Amiga relevant in the
overarching
90s?
Y2K anxieties led tons of folks to get the wrong idea
I thought they
anyway.
kind of died out.
The prevalence of Y2K compliant labels all over the place probably didn't help, leading to a misguided idea that anything remotely computer related could stop working.
I want
Computers themselves were of course labeled this way, but also software that was never at risk in the first place. Bicycle rummy? Oh sure, that's Y2K compatible, why not? If an item used a microchip or heck, used electricity in some way, slap a Y2K sticker on it. Cash registers, KVM switches, otoscopes, digital scales. And of course, remember to turn your computers off at midnight too, because reasons. Thanks, Best Buy. Despite the responsibility falling...
I still want those stickers. I want to put them on everything I own. I want to put them on... Hold on. Hold on. This gave me an idea, and I kind of... Amiga... Okay, Amiga is still relevant. Fine. Fine, be that way. Nerd. Okay, hold on. Wait. Hold on. I want to do something, since we're talking about slapping stickers onto things. Not too big, hold on. I'm Y2K compliant. Are you Y2K compliant?
Largely on the shoulders of governments and corporations rather than individuals, this didn't stop the onslaught of folks capitalizing on the hysteria by peddling personal preparedness. There were countless Y2K books, many of them centered around post-apocalyptic survivalism and off-the-grid living. Seminars were held that pitched the need for prepping at work and at home. Y2K News magazine got printed for a couple years, detailing Y2K related facts and rumors on a bi-weekly basis.
Oh my god.
Outdoor supply stores bundled food, stoves, and lanterns together and sold them as Y2K survival kits. Cleverly named online stores popped up like Y2K Mart, billing themselves as one-stop disaster shops.
I'm surprised that they let that one through and did not get sued by Kmart. That's very funny, though.
Folks extra worried about personal safety went into stores asking retailers for, quote, Y2K guns, leading to...
What? I know that they meant a gun for Y2K, but it just really sounds like I want to buy a Y2K compliant gun. I want to buy a Y2K compliant gun.
To a spike in U.S. weapons sales. Amish Mennonite business owners saw a notable rise in sales due to their offerings of analog technology. People began stocking up underground bunkers and fallout shelters in numbers not seen since the height of the Cold War.
I mean, this kind of stuff still happens. Just swap Y2K for whatever. Oh, you mean swapping Y2K with the inevitable issue, with the inevitable forthcoming of January 1st, 2030, January 19th, 2038? You mean Y2K 38? We're still not out of the woods, everybody. We still got another one to go before, like, the world blows up or whatever. And that's Y2K 38. I think there's a video later on about Y2K 38, so we're going to talk about that.
Cookbooks were released.
Yeah, Aisha Huckabee, long story short, the Unix date code has an expiration date of, I believe it's 3:14 in the morning on January 19th, 2038. And it's basically Y2K again for certain devices that are old.
Focusing on food preparation in the absence of electricity and clean water. Collectibles were sold, cutifying the Millennium Bug as a soft, plushy insect.
Yo, I want
Y2K
one.
survival shows were hosted on county fairgrounds, providing a kind of
deal with pressure to be Y2K? Wait, nani?
In Time's family event, computer hardware makers sold add-on cards promising to make your BIOS Y2K compatible.
What?
Software developers released applications for analyzing and updating PCs for potential glitches. Certain religious
It's not
leaders
that
and churches
complicated.
were hailing the new millennium as the beginning of the
Oh,
end
here we
times,
go!
as
We got
written
the
in book of
Doomsday
Revelation.
Sayers!
Mock movie posters were sold that combined mid-century horror movie tropes and Y2K apocalypse fears. Actual
want one.
Y2K movies got made, like Y2K the Movie, a 1999
What?
made-for-TV disaster flick. Somehow, Leonard Nimoy got roped into hosting an hour-long Y2K scare-a-thon released to VHS.
I have that video in my Discord. It's an hour long. It's an hour-long special of Leonard Nimoy talking about how scary Y2K is. I wanted to watch it today, but it was an hour long.
Even musicians couldn't resist making Y2K-themed songs like The Millennium Bug by Terry Breen. And naturally, comedians, comic strips, and TV shows all joined in poking fun at the whole shebang.
Oh no, it's happening.
So with all the years of Millennium Bug silliness and scare tactics, it's no surprise that many folks were still expecting the worst. But once the day finally arrived in 1999 turned to 2000, Y2K was more or less a no-show.
Nothing happened.
Power kept flowing, planes kept flying, cars kept driving, banks kept banking, even computers that weren't turned off before midnight did just fine. There were a number of issues, though, even if largely limited
the
to
Y2K
brief,
movie aged as well as
localized
the 2012
interruptions.
movie.
A building in South Korea
Oh, man,
lost its heating for...
Here's the thing. I really think the 2012 movie probably did at least a better idea of doing a disaster stuff. Like, I don't know. It's just going to be like, oh, things fell out of the sky and shit stopped working. Like, oh no. 2012 was like... 2012 is a worse disaster than Y2K because 2012 was like, oh, the Earth is going to fuck us up. We're going to die. This is more like, just... stuff stopped working. Dang, my MP3 player isn't working anymore. Might as well buy a new one. Oh boy.
For a few hours. Several people in the UK were given incorrect medical test results due to age miscalculation.
Sorry, sir, you're actually 95 years old, but I'm 5. What?
Dialysis machines in Egypt needed to be reset at midnight, and some credit and debit card terminals delayed transactions by a few days. Not to mention some more lighthearted blunders, like a guy who returned a rental videotape to the store only to be met with a $91,250 late fee for being 100 years late.
That one's
But
funny.
the vast majority of Y2K bugs were incredibly minor, mostly just digital clocks and calendars showing 1900 instead of 2000 before being promptly
funny.
fixed. According to the U.S. Senate Y2K Aftermath Report,
Crisis
despite all those
averted.
incidents, there were, quote, no major problems experienced in the U.S. or worldwide during the Millennium Date change. So
Yay.
hooray! Job well done, crisis averted. Everyone thanked all those skilled programmers, right?
No.
Not quite. The skeptics and the
Here we
defenders
go.
alike began sounding off immediately, as exemplified by the January 1st comments section from the BBC's Talking Point page.
I have always believed in the saying, there is nothing so insignificant that it cannot be blown out of all proportion. With the demise of the Y2K bug, the media will now have to find something else to expand to the ridiculous.
Maybe the reason not much happened is because a lot of people spent a lot of time, most of it unpaid, fixing the bug before it could bite. The failure of a problem to materialize does not mean it never existed, only that your IT department fixed it before it could do damage.
Thank finally someone who's actually speaking my language. This guy gets it.
It's the same as going to your doctor due to a stomachache and complaining that it's gone away after treatment. What was the media expecting? A fix and a meltdown? You can't have both. The media will do anything to make people's blood boil.
The Millennium Bug, just another example of the computer industry extracting money from an uninformed public. I wonder what the next money-making scam will be.
2038. Who's this asshole? Who's this asshole? Why, like, is this some nonsense like Y2K was made by big Yeah, fuck you, Tony Parker. Like, what the hell? He's basically saying Y2K was a ploy by big tech to sell us stuff. Like, what?
Had the money not been spent, there would have been chaos and a lot more money spent to fix them. The real lesson to be learned from this is to correctly design the software in the first place and don't assume it won't be around after a few years.
That's not gonna happen, Linda. I'm sorry. Man, the solution to this problem is to have people be more proactive. It's not gonna work, dude. No one's gonna be proactive about an issue that happens 50 years in the future. No one's going to expect that shit.
I'm quite relieved that everything so far is Y-OK, mainly because as of about December 27th, I had eaten all of my Y2K stash. As of January 1st, 2000, everything seems normal, but I don't know if the water is still safe to drink, and I think my car is too old to be affected by computer chips.
Well, that era's over for all of us. That era is over for all of us now.
Y2K scare was definitely a scare campaign for reasons best known to the computer programmers and software manufacturers. This money could well have been spent to greater benefit to
Also, I do love the fact that the guy, in an article, like when they were asking his people's opinions on Y2K, the guy had the balls to say, I actually ate through all my rations like a week ago, and, oops. Good for him.
mankind the world over.
Get real, guys. Had there been a total meltdown, global thermonuclear war, and all the other things that many seem to be actually looking forward to, just who would you have blamed? Exactly the same poor souls who you are now blaming for the absence of these things.
This discourse only grew over the coming years, with retrospectives analyzing all the warnings and preparation, wondering if it was all overblown. Make no mistake though, Y2K was a real problem that needed to be fixed, and people put in countless hours to fix it. But the problem with thoroughly fixing something is that to an outsider, it looks like nothing was fixed at all. So on the one hand, the Millennium Bug was an unquestionably big problem with a massive quantity of unseen work happening that resulted in a disaster dodged. On the other hand, it's clear that an unwarranted amount of fear, uncertainty, and doubt was being sown and reaped by those looking to make a quick buck. To quote tech journalist Robert Cringely, I believe a terrific amount of Y2K fraud took place. There was a lot of money that was spent, and it wasn't visible. The question is whether the right work was done, and my guess is probably about half that money was just wasted. Indeed, no one knows precisely how much of the prep work was truly necessary and how much was at best an honest overreaction or at worst a cynical cash grab. And unfortunately, those bad actors often received the spotlight instead of the workers grinding away fixing the actual problems. And thus, Y2K ended up being more of a punchline, a cliche end-of-the-world trope that the public was all too happy to move on from. But it wasn't an all-out hoax either. The calendar date change problem was real, and a lot of the fixes were necessary. Additionally, computer hardware and national infrastructure updates made to prevent Y2K chaos ended up having benefits beyond the year 2000 problem.
Oh wow, who would
As
have
just
thought
one example,
who would have thought updating our systems made things better? Wow.
New York City's infrastructure overhaul for Y2K has been credited as helping deal with the 9/11 terrorist attacks. The enhancements and fail-safes installed to prepare for Y2K ended up being invaluable in helping first responders in 2001 when power, communication, and rail lines were destroyed. On the flip side, some of the Y2K fixes caused issues that only arose decades later in what became known as the Y2020 bug. Turns out up to 80% of Millennium Bug fixes relied on a method called the pivot year or windowing, making computers see years between 00 and 20 as the 2000s. Once the year 2020 came about, anything relying on this temporary fix immediately broke, including parking meters, point-of-sale terminals, and even the pro wrestling video game WWE 2K20.
I forgot about that!
So sure, Y2K is easy to look back on and joke about, with all the laughable products and absurd apocalyptic predictions, but it
Kills Millennium Bugs dead? What? Your best chance to be ready for the year 2000. Honestly, I think the best way to prep for that would just be a gun and some water.
shouldn't be dismissed entirely as a scam either, even with all the scamming and poor decision-making that occurred. The public perception perpetrated by the media that this was a hoax has done a great disservice to the industry, said Peter de Jager in 2010. Organizations did not spend $300 billion worldwide because someone said there was a problem. Nobody is that gullible. They spent $300 billion because they tested their systems with 00 dates, and the systems stopped working. Let's hope the media, the industry, and the public alike have learned their lessons then, because calendar-based computer problems continue to crop up, and there's no telling what kind of technological silliness lies over the horizon.
There it is. And we're fucked. So, okay. So, we're now going to watch... Yeah, lessons learned. Do you really expect anybody to learn a lesson from something that happened 20 years ago before they were freaking born? I mean, hopefully. Okay, so now this video is this is labeled the Computer Chronicles year 2000. This is is there details that I can read about on here? This is from the Internet Archive. So, I think this is a TV time. We're gonna watch what they thought happened in... Are you guys ready to watch the year 2000 special? Let's go. That's not a website, dude.
This week on the computer...
I'm already in love. I'm already in love. This is great.
Chronicles the Y2K problem. We'll show you how to check your computer's CMOS and BIOS for possible...
I don't expect people to learn, take lessons
we'll look
from
at some
20 years ago.
software
Yeah.
that examines your applications and files to make sure they're Y2K compliant. We'll talk to Microsoft about some reported Y2K problems with Windows.
Have you never seen this
and
show
we'll
before?
search the
I have
web for
not.
Good and bad
What?
information.
Please tell me
What
more.
you should do to deal with Y2K. Plus, we'll look at the mainframe side of the problem. Can you count on power, water, money, and safe air travel on January 1? Also, my pick of the week, a new way to listen to books on tape without the tape.
Wait, hold up. I know what that device was. Hold on. This boy? That thing's called an Audible. Like, Audible. Like Audible. Like, actual, like, Audible. The Audible player.
My pick of the week, a new way to listen to books on tape without the tape. It's all coming up next on the Computer Chronicles.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by PeopleSoft, a global supplier of enterprise application software for business, education, and government. PeopleSoft, we work in your world.
Do you still exist?
By TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. And by TVA.
Do you still exist? Please tell me you still exist,
Reaching the world
PeopleSoft.
of computers and video with DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
The site's not loading.
Hi, and welcome to the Computer Chronicles. I'm Stuart Chaffee. Y2K, we've been hearing about this computer problem for a long time now. The question is, how serious is it, and what, if anything, can you do about it? If you don't think this is a serious problem, let me show you Exhibit A. There is a rather large global company called Shell Oil, and you would think they have the computer resources to deal with the Y2K problem. Let me show you the credit card that Shell Oil recently sent me. It says right here, as you can see, valid till the year 1000. Whoops. Well, if Shell Oil can't...
Yo, we got his credit card.
Problem, my guess is there are other serious...
I just realized that he showed us a credit card on TV. Look at my credit card. I didn't.
Problems lurking out there come January 1, 2000. On this program, we're going to focus primarily on how the Y2K problem can affect your personal computer. And there are several levels of the problem. We'll deal with all of them. Hardware problems in the form of the CMOS chips and the BIOS in your computer's motherboard, your operating system, your software
Yeah,
applications,
humans very
and
soft
your
and
files.
squishy.
And we'll start with the hardware issues.
Why be soft and
Mike, I
squishy
guess
when
that's
you
your
can be a
territory here.
VTuber?
You've pulled a motherboard out of a PC here, and why don't you explain to us what the hardware side of the problem is?
Well, basically, your date originates from your CMOS chip inside your motherboard.
So that's a CMOS chip, and that's being run by this battery, and that always is remembering what the date is.
Yes, and that is where your 19 is embedded that you've heard so much about that causes the Y2K.
Got it. And then what about the BIOS?
All right,
Be
the
soft and
BIOS
squishy
at
and a
boot up
VTuber.
time
That
calls
that
the
is true.
CMOS
You can be a
its date and time.
Okay, so
slime
the BIOS
VTuber.
chip is over here.
Correct.
It says, hey, what's the date? And if this guy gives it the wrong information...
Hold on, what socket is that? What model of chip is that? Can someone look? ISZ997. I'm pretty sure it's not that. Hold on, what was that? Intel's SZ997.
Goes to hell after that.
Oh,
Correct.
it's a PCI accelerator. That's okay.
It's to the operating system, therefore you'll have an invalid date when you reboot January 1st.
Now,
2000.
given it's a hardware problem, can we still fix it and deal with it in software?
Yes.
Yeah.
What we do is actually, with PC Fix 2000, we're intercepting that date exchange between the CMOS and BIOS, correcting and adjusting any dates that need to be there, writing them back to the chips and handshaking it off
All
to
right,
the
so I can load some software on my computer that will check and say, hey, CMOS, if you're wrong, I'm going to fix it before you spread that date to the rest of my computer.
Correct.
How do I know if I have a problem? Can I use your software to test it and see if my CMOS is delivering the wrong date?
Yes, we have a package called Easy Check 2000 that will actually check all sorts of dates.
All right, can we do that? I mean, I guess what we're going to do is simulate New Year's Eve 1999 and 2000?
Right. What we'll do is simulate a boot process in your PC. And what we'll do is take a look at the CMOS clock and the BIOS clock and what it's reading as we speak. Now, we'll simulate the boot by setting it to 12/31/99, just a few seconds before midnight.
It's New Year's Eve, December 31st. That ball is coming down in Times Square. And what will your computer do?
Okay, so here we
So
go.
A couple seconds to go.
8,
2,
9.
1. Whoops.
And our CMOS clock.
Yeah, there we go.
19.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Now, the BIOS somehow still said 2000.
Correct. On most post-96 machines, the BIOS is correcting for the 1900 in the CMOS.
But we could still have a problem if an application is directly accessing
Correct.
the
There
CMOS
are
chip.
applications that do that, and there's Windows NT operating system does that as well.
That's like
So
majority.
my computer, or many apps on my computer, are now going to think it's 1900, which is wrong. So things will get screwed up. How do I fix it with the software?
I'm actually surprised that they are teaching people how complicated the issue actually is on television. Man, I remember when people were taught educational stuff about computers on TV.
Execute PC
I don't know where the
Fix
accent came from.
Apply our algorithm, retrieve the date.
And now the CMOS says 2000.
The algorithm.
And correct.
All right, so you've got a kind of memory resident piece of software that's constantly going in there correcting that problem.
No, it does not remain in memory.
It doesn't.
Doesn't take up any resources, doesn't conflict with any software.
But somehow it just
Yeah,
permanently fixes that
was
problem?
very educational
does
about.
its job at boot
Like
up
he's
time and
already being more educational
Let me
than
ask
what
you
I've
now,
seen
why
people
should I
learn
care
about
that
how
my
to
CMOS
do
clock is
computers.
wrong? Is that really going to have any consequences to me as I'm doing my work on my PC?
Which is
other than the fact that the
honestly very
If
impressive.
you're using any calendar software or date and time sensitive software, you could very well boot up January 1st, 2000, and every appointment you've ever had could
You're 100 years late for that appointment, it's
100
going to
years
tell
late.
me.
And it could cause accounting software packages.
Sure. Now, if I have a reasonably new computer, I bought it within the past year or two, could it still have a CMOS problem?
It could very well. The CMOS technology still in today's motherboards are using the old Motorola technology that has the 19 embedded
Still
in
could
the
be
chip.
old chips and they could still have that problem, even though it's a new PC.
This PC here is a 6-month old.
Wow.
He's honestly
Last question,
asking
you've got
all the
something on
right
your website,
questions,
a free download that will check the CMOS
especially for
problem?
people who are
It's the
concerned.
Check 2000 product, and it will check all your hardware
Got it.
dates.
Mike, thank you very much. Well, let's move to another part of the Y2K problem, your software applications and your files. What can you do to make sure they are Y2K compliant? And I guess your answer is buy Norton 2000, right? That's right. What does Norton 2000 actually do? How do I deal with the applications in the files?
We run a scan on your system, and we look at all the commercial off-the-shelf applications.
Oh,
and
boy.
We look at the data that's within.
Hey, this was before Norton was shit. So you know what? I'll give a pass. His website literally says that he wants to bridge the gap between geeks and normal folks in an entertaining way. Honestly, he's doing a very good job.
Your files, like your spreadsheets.
All right, so if we take a look at the screen here again, I can run a big scan.
I wish I wish it could be this educational.
And let's go to the applications first. What kind of report do I get?
Right, this is the first report you see, and it breaks it down into 3 categories.
Really bad problems, maybe a problem, seems to be okay, huh?
Exactly. And then you can drill down on each of them.
So if I say it says real serious problems and
severity 5s and severity 3s in here. 5 means it's not
really
going to be
bad.
able to handle dates beyond 1999.
So that's the worst, the severity 5. Severity 3 might be screwed up a little bit.
Severity 3 sometimes have workarounds.
Yeah. Well, this is like big deal. CC Mail, Excel.
Yo, what the fuck? 98 could not handle dates. You made that after 95. Come on.
Plus PowerPoint Windows,
Exactly.
right? So I have some problems here. What do I do next now that I know I have those problems?
Well, if you drill down further, we explain the issue, provide a direct link to the vendor's website, because sometimes they'll have a patch or an upgrade, something like that. And then also sometimes there's a workaround, and if so, we'll provide that suggestion.
All right, so you're not going to fix this for me, but you're going to tell me where to go to get it fixed. Go to the Microsoft website, download this patch, and that will solve the problem.
Exactly.
Well, that's helpful.
All right, now what do I do about particular files? All right, I know Excel's no good, but does that mean all my spreadsheets are screwed up?
No, not necessarily.
Files wouldn't be screwed up in this case, right?
Of the application.
And how I entered the date
And how you entered the date.
All right, so what is this?
So here is the scan that we've run on the data. Again, you see the severities.
All right, so you're looking at the actual files now, not the applications anymore, and you're telling me, hey, I've got 2 severity 5 spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets that are just going to not function anymore.
Yeah, and if this is something that you're doing financial planning for your future, you know, you want those.
So what do I do?
Right.
Am I just stuck?
No.
Print them?
Norton 2000 will give you
paper will exist in the year 2000.
It will tell you
Print them out?
Oh, so it's saying there's specific cells that have date information that are causing the problem.
Exactly. And
all right, now what
oh,
do I
wow,
do?
that's comprehensive.
You go in there, and also for Excel spreadsheets, we provide a real nice visual way of seeing where the problems are. So I'll show you an example of that. Here we go.
Okay, so you color code the bad cells.
Exactly, and annotate. So the yellows are a 3, and the pinks are a 4, and the reds are a 5.
So the reds are the severity 5 ones, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
Now I've got
wow, who would have thought
bad cells. Obviously, they're all
Norton
things.
would have been good. I'm joking. This is the 90s. Norton was fine.
Well, because this one, as you see, it's listed as a 2-digit year, but in this case, it's actually been read correctly. It's being read as 1988.
But it might be included in a formula somewhere else.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this one is wrong, and then this one in the red is relating back to that cell right there. That's
yeah.
wrong.
Now what do I do now? I mean, am I just stuck to just say don't use the spreadsheet, or can I go in and correct that problem?
You can go in, change
Just
it into a
fix
4-digit
it,
date. You know, fix the formula if there is a formula.
Okay, so the problem might have been mine. I was careless like
Exactly.
everybody else, and I used a 2-digit year. Just make it a 4-digit year, and that could solve
We've all
the
been
problem.
programmed to enter 4-digit years.
Yeah. In the work you do with Norton 2000, are there obvious certain applications that are the suspect ones that I should look out for?
In general, anything that relies on dates, so calendar programs, any financial applications.
Anything that draws a conclusion based on a date,
Exactly.
not a word processing document.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, Norton 2000.
Thank
you. Well, while we're focusing on the PC side of the Y2K problem, the big fear that most people have is not about their personal computers, but about the massive mainframe systems that run the power companies, the banks, the airlines, most of our basic services.
Ooh, let's see how
Here's
he
a look
handles
at what
this part.
some experts have to say about what will happen with those come January 1.
Everything will go
On
down
a
and we
bright
will all
spring day
die.
in San Francisco, the Millennium Bug is probably
Right.
not foremost in people's thoughts, but hidden inside most basic.
Yo, wait, hold on. I saw a Circuit City. Hold up.
On a
Yo, Circuit City Express, let's go!
bright spring day in San Francisco, the Millennium Bug is probably not foremost in people's thoughts,
I miss Circuit
but
City.
hidden inside most basic services, from
Ness?
water and power
Oh
to
my God,
streetlights
Ness?
and buses, are embedded chips and
Undertale?
software that might depend on the date and
Sans?
time to operate. That is what worries cities like San Francisco, which began its Y2K probe
Everyone
4
misses
years
Circuit
ago.
City.
with the embedded systems,
Yeah.
we're looking at fire trucks. You know, it's a whole different look at the world, and the valves on the water system. If there's an embedded system in a valve and it fails, what will probably happen? If
Press
the
the
valve
F
is
key
open, it
to
will probably stay
pay
open. If it's
respects to
closed, it will
Circuit
probably stay
City.
closed. Is that a bad failure? Is that something we can fix over time? Also, virtually all valves have manual overrides. But has anybody used them in the last 20 years?
Susceptible chips can show up in unlikely places. For example, the city's cable car system, over 100 years old, runs from electric generators that are controlled by computer. Light rail vehicles are almost completely automated, and even buses
I've never
and fire
seen
trucks
California
have
light
embedded
rail.
microprocessors.
That existed?
We are finding that with heavy equipment, there are other issues with maintenance cycles. And there are pre-built maintenance cycles for things, for example, like water pumps and the ladders that go up and the engine. And some of those systems on some fire trucks, if they're not serviced, don't work.
The Wells Fargo Bank approached Y2K
Oh, here we
in a
go.
different way by
Banking.
building a parallel banking system and then advancing the dates. So a fictitious customer can make a deposit or transfer funds on December 30th, 1999, and a fictitious teller could see those funds appear on January 3rd.
We've created a miniature bank of our own. Actually, if it was, you could pick up this environment and probably sell it to some other banking institution.
So we made a
because it
test
handles
case.
a couple hundred thousand customer accounts. These aren't real accounts, these are test accounts that we have out there. And we process a full day's activities from printing out statements to sorting checks.
Wells Fargo's bank within a bank has everything from PC banking to receipt printers to ATMs. But what happens at midnight, December 31st? So far, so good.
The tests themselves, we're in contact with them, they're working pretty good. We have until June of this year to complete everything, so a number of them are getting into place now and being set up. And as an industry as a whole, I think we are in very good shape.
Yeah, that's what the BART train is?
People
Oh.
have taken us very seriously,
Well,
especially in the
damn.
financial
That's-
services industry.
That's depressing.
And the work is taking
Because I like that tram that was in the video because it looked nice.
Assuming you can withdraw cash from your ATM in January, will you be able to spend it, say, for an airplane ticket? Airports face the known problem of finding and fixing embedded controllers with an additional complication. They will be counting on every other airport to do the same.
It's a real problem because we're not the only airport in the country. A lot of airport...
This is incredibly comprehensive. Like, I'm very, I don't know, I keep saying this, but I'm like very impressed by a public program that explains computer problems like this to people in a larger sense, in like a, you know, brings it back to reality for them.
manufactured products are duplicated at other facilities, not necessarily airports, but other manufacturing facilities or public transportation hubs and that sort of thing. It's almost unbelievable the amount of inventory that we are going through from some of the major components that make up the facility to some of the very minor things.
But at least it's good that
you would never
everyone's like, you know,
think of
checking
unless
their
you went
shit.
through an exercise like an inventory.
The task is daunting, to find every chip and program that might have a date function and rewrite or replace it. But some areas get immediate attention.
We have to look at everything imaginable, I think, but you have to set priorities, and the priority is the safety security aspect. So we have to maintain a secure airport. We have to provide safety for the traveling public.
Embedded controllers are lurking everywhere, even in services that appear to be low tech. San Francisco's water supply comes by aqueduct from the Sierra Nevada mountains, using gravity as its main engine. But pumps, chemical systems, and valves are operated by programmable logic controllers, or PLCs. All of the chips have been
Boob. Anyway.
inventoried, but what if one malfunctions?
Just wanted to say.
Actually,
boob.
there's very little high tech. When this system was designed, it was a brilliant engineering feat in the early part of the century. And most of that infrastructure is still in place, where we have upgraded a number of, like you mentioned, valves, the devices that move the valves, the monitoring equipment. Valves are either open or closed, and these types of valves don't close automatically if there's an electronic failure or a power failure. So we're very comfortable that the water will continue to flow by
Forget that once
gravity,
upon a
even if there
time
are
educational
Y2K
programming
issues.
was a real
And
thing.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think that people are going to be surprised.
I miss the days when educational programming was a thing.
When
This is actually
December
pretty
31st
good.
Midnight comes around, the world is not going to come to an end. Airplanes are going to continue to fly. The lights aren't going to go out in the terminals. The lights aren't going to go out on the freeways. And I don't think it's going to be some of the massive failures that
Nova.
has been
I miss Nova.
portrayed in the media recently.
For the Computer Chronicles, I'm Sarah O'Brien.
I love. Hold on. Fuck. No. Yo, it's fucking Netscape. It's Netscape. I love it. The music's also very good.
Well, the one issue we haven't dealt with yet in the Y2K problem is what about your computer's operating system? And of course, in most cases, that means is Windows Y2K compliant, so let's find out. Don, when we did that little scan before with the lady showing us North
We're going to talk to
Windows
Mr. Bill
98 is
Gates.
a Severity 3 problem. People have heard about this. What are the issues in Win98?
Well, actually, there's a patch for Windows 98 that makes it fully compliant, so all those issues are resolved.
Okay. But, I mean, what are the issues?
Yeah, there are some minor issues that we did find. Let me give you a couple of examples.
Okay.
One of them is in what we call the dialer. If you go into the phone dialer,
You know, you wouldn't think that would be a date-sensitive
relatively
thing,
obscure,
The
but a lot of
phone
these generate
dialer.
logs that are date stamped.
The little
and that's where that
scam
comes
about
from.
Norton, which is
You can use the phone
accidentally on.
dialer to
Yeah,
call your
oops.
relatives and
Like
look
maybe
at
a couple
the
years
log.
ahead of time.
And what would
ahead of
happen
them.
is, in the year 2000, beyond
Whoopsie
2000,
doodle.
instead of saying the call took place January 1st of 2001,
Right.
say January 1st of C1.
Oh, that's helpful.
So it's a display issue. Is there a chance for data loss? None whatsoever.
All right, so that's a little baby problem, and you can fix that. What's another Win98 problem?
Well, in Internet Explorer, there's this feature called the wallet.
Mhm.
And if you actually go into content,
We can store credit card information.
Wallet.
Exactly. Exactly. What it's used for is to upload your information to an internet site that's
I
maybe
see the
selling-
problem.
Wait, you could do this?
You got it.
All right.
So let's say you add a new credit card and you go to the credit card wizard and you enter in the
When were they able to do this?
Right.
put the expiration date in as 00,
So
What?
It expires in 2000.
it wouldn't work. It'll
Doesn't
come back
like
with
it.
an error. If you put 2000, it works just fine.
Okay, so you can't enter a two-digit answer in there.
Exactly.
Now, is that something you simply have to know, or is there a patch to fix
There
that
is a
one,
patch.
too?
The Windows
I-
98 Y2K patch fixes
I-
all of these issues.
So, I
You
mean,
could
these are
store
relatively little
credit
things. You're
card
saying, in general,
information on
Win95,
Internet
Win98,
Explorer?
not a big problem.
Yeah, the issues are
What?
all minor, very obscure. Most users wouldn't run into them.
Let's get to the application side. Again, when we did that scan, we saw all your stuff coming up, you know, Excel and Access and et cetera, et cetera. What are you doing about, I mean, Norton showed us we have the problem, and then we have to go to Microsoft to fix the problem. What are you guys doing to help us solve some of the application problems?
Okay, well, the first thing we're doing, of course, we've got the website, which has 1,800 products now that we've tested and verified,
Okay.
as well as a toll-free number. But beyond that, what we've done is we've come up with a product called the Product Analyzer. And what this will do,
I'm not saying
it'll
like
scan
who
your
would
hard drive,
trust
it'll verify
them
what
with
Microsoft
this
files you
information.
have
I'm
in
just
the
very
database,
surprised that they
pull
were
the
able
compliance
to.
status, and then any more
Because, like,
information
So
you
this
might
is
need.
your version of scanning
E-commerce
for all
wasn't really
Microsoft
a thing,
applications
so,
to
like,
verify what they're- All right, so
huh.
we go through and we find we have some problems. You've now come up with some kind of cool wizards in the
Huh.
Microsoft style to deal with them. Go through those.
Sure. You're talking about our Excel wizard specifically.
Yeah.
Within Excel, there are 3 wizards we've created: the Date Watch wizard, Date Fix wizard, and Date Migration
All right,
wizard.
so one at a time. What is
And if you defeat them all, you get to see the secret fourth boss wizard.
the Date Watch wizard do?
It watches how users enter in dates, and then it tells them if they're being ambiguous, or it'll convert those dates for them.
Show me what you mean.
Sure, let's just create a new spreadsheet.
Okay,
And we'll just
Will
type
Clippy
in
say it looks like you're
10/01/00.
trying to enter in a date that's
So
in the
I
year
use a
2000?
two-digit field.
It's
Well,
gonna
I was
change
right.
it
It said
to-
2000.
It's going to change it to a 4-digit field for
Oh,
you.
so even if I only do 2, it automatically makes a 4. So there's no
Exactly.
problem.
Yeah,
And
the
then, of
secret
course,
fourth
when it does
wizard,
that,
the
you can look at
ancient
that cell.
installation
That really
wizard,
should be
the
1900,
classic, the OG.
depending on how you're using your spreadsheet.
So it'll automatically switch ambiguous.
He taught the
All
other
right, so what's the
installation
other one?
wizards
Date
how to do
The
things.
Date Fix wizard, what that does is it'll actually take a spreadsheet and fix those dates within it.
All right, so what are we looking at here? Now, this is an unfixed.
An unfixed spreadsheet. So what you've got is our birth dates and people's names and just a chart applied to those.
All right, so some guy here was born in 1909. You think that's correct?
We'll see. Well, maybe it's 2009 and he's not born yet.
All right. That's a problem. All right, so you have a graphic representation of what would be right now a non-compliant issue, right? A
Correct.
problem.
What
And
is
what
this
does
chart?
datefix do?
What it's going to do is going to go through, it's going to convert those 2-digit dates to 4-digit, and then report back what it did so that you can inspect and make sure
Okay.
that it did the right thing. So we'll just run
So
that.
it's gonna auto-fix all this.
So it's going to print a spreadsheet that says this is what it did. So in
Okay.
case I want to go back and say that was wrong.
And it was 2009, okay. I mean, it's
And-
obviously a mock-up. but
Exactly, a mock-up.
It would have made that mistake, typical Y2K problem.
So you can actually go through your spreadsheets either on a case-by-case basis
Yeah.
like this or against an entire directory and actually apply those.
And
case-
quickly,
those-
date migration wizard, what does that do?
He's taking earlier versions of data from Excel and into Excel 98 and doing exactly
Or so if
these
an old
things.
spreadsheet had the problem, you can correct it as
Exactly.
you move it over.
Exactly.
So you guys are providing the fixes.
We are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart.
All right, well, as always, the internet is a great
That's
source of
nice.
information about Y2K, and in some cases, it's a source of misinformation. Well, to help us sort all that out, we've asked Mike Elgin, editor of Windows Magazine, to join us.
Oh my god, he's talking about misinformation on the internet. Holy shit. That's even weirder that someone like that would default 00 to 1900, but 09 to 2009. I think I think it's also taking into context the dates around it. I'd hope so. But it's still weird.
And show us some of the
This
good
guy's a
stuff
fucking
going on. I guess
trailblazer.
It's important to think of the internet as a resource because we're talking about stuff that's changing every day, isn't it? You might not want to go buy a book about Y2K issues.
Right. People are discovering a lot and will continue to learn new things all year. So it's a good idea to keep going back to the best websites.
Right. Now, you guys, Win Magazine, you have a very good website on Y2K. Why don't you show us that
I
first,
want
'cause
to
it's
like
really a kind of
repost
portal, if you will,
this
to Y2K
on
problem.
modern Twitter.
Sure, okay. Our
And just tell
main,
people, hey,
Y2K page
here's your media literacy for today.
And it's primarily a bunch of links which we think are the best links for people concerned about the PC aspect of the Y2K problem.
I
on
want
the
to
hardware and software
investigate
side.
So what kind
this
of links, for
website.
example?
Oh
Where
my
would
god,
you
look
send
how
those?
cute
Well,
it
first of
is.
all, we've got our Y2K discussion forum. This is where people who are knowledgeable can get together.
Trade
Not
information
even
about
using
what
Windows
problems they found.
Internet Explorer.
Exactly.
They're
It's a
using
discussion area. This is
Netscape.
brand new, and this will get more and more rich information in
Okay.
there as we go on. Another thing that I emphasize, I want everybody to read this article. It's by Fred Langer. It's the single best article about finding and fixing Y2K problems
Okay.
with a personal computer, with you and your own computer. And this is different from a IT administrator who
Got
needs
it.
to worry about the whole
All right,
company.
so lots of resources at your website. And how do I get there? What's the URL?
It's winmag.com.
Okay.
And then just click on the Y2K link.
All right, now the government has some websites up there too, right? To theoretically help us out.
That's
The
right.
government had
They're providing a
Y2K
lot of
websites?
information,
Yo.
and actually some of them have been based on President Clinton's initiative to solve the Y2K problem. And so this is the presidential Y2K conversion site. And there's a lot of information. These links go into all kinds of private
It's sort
and
of
public-
business-oriented.
That's right, especially for business owners.
People doing business with the government.
That's right.
Hold up. Y2K.gov/ does that say Java? Index.htm. My goodness.
Legal issues, some of the heavier stuff.
This looks like a Neo. This
The
looks like a
government has
NeoCity
consumer-based
site.
Y2K site that's full of lots of information, and we'll answer just about any question that
Oh my
people
god.
have, from different departments.
Hold up. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Whoever this guy is, I love him.
Social Security, should I be worried about this and that?
Exactly, insurance and on and on.
All right, now there's another site I know you really like, another independent site. It was
The more things change in government
Yes,
websites, the
Peter
more they stay the
Yeager's
same. It's just
site. Now,
endless.
Peter was
It's
the
just an
original
endless stream of
Y2K,
links.
Guy who was out there
Right,
telling everybody.
right.
And this site's been up for years, and he's built this huge database of information. And he's attracted all the experts. So this is an excellent site.
Year2000.com.
That's a good URL.
Now, what about all these people who are saying the world's going to come to an end, the planes won't fly, the power won't work, the ATMs won't work? There are sites up there that are just spreading all kinds of horror stories. I mean, where do you go if that's sort of your perspective on this?
Well, there's a good site that
Where can I read the Y2K horror stories?
Site called the Cassandra Project.
Okay.
Now this is for
Okay.
practical information on how to survive any sort of power outages and so on.
What happens if the ATM doesn't work, right?
Exactly.
The water stops
Make
flowing.
sure you have water, make sure you have heat, and so on. There's also some constructive information about.
I'm looking up the
community
Cassandra
projects that
project.
the
Hold on.
neighborhood, Is working
So this
together
is
on this.
CassandraProject.org.
That's right. Now there's of course, some other sites that are
There's some pretty
doomsday-
wild things out
right,
there,
they
yeah.
get a gun. And
Yo, the site's still up. Although I don't think it's the same thing anymore. It might not be.
Some water, move to Montana, you know, and hide in a hole somewhere. I think that view, by the way, is unnecessary. I don't think that's.
But this is sort of general preparation, just in case bad things happen.
Exactly.
Now, you said, Mike, I want to ask you, I always put you on the spot because you spend all your time with this stuff. What is your view?
I can't find
I've heard, I know people who say, I'm going to the hills with a gun.
Sure.
I'm getting on a plane January 1.
I'm going to live out back with my with my wife with a
There
shotgun.
are some problems. There are going to be smaller problems. Hospitals are going to have to deal with some specific issues. Planes are not going to drop out of the sky. This is not going to happen. There may be delays. There may be some unpredictable things, but overall, it's not the end of the world.
No. Well, we hear about the embedded chip problem. And hey, yeah, you can fix all this old COBOL language, but what about all the hardware stuff that's embedded in all these things?
Well, that's really the biggest problem because you just can't run a Microsoft patch to fix these things. It's all embedded in hardware, and there's some unpredictability. Some of these chips are decades old, so nobody really knows what's going to happen. But overall, all these problems are fixable. Everything is solvable.
Are you going to buy some extra food and get some extra cash?
I'm going to make sure. I live in New York. I'm going to make sure I have heat. But I don't think there'll be anything beyond maybe a couple of days of power outages and phone down, that sort of thing.
Mike, thanks a lot.
I'm surprised
all right,
he
that's
actually
a look at
expected
Y2K.
like some
I'll
bad
be
stuff
back in
there.
just a moment with my pick of the week.
Ooh, and he shows like a gadget. I want to see the gadget.
Before I get to my pick of the week, I did want to mention one other Y2K program, which is very good, but which we didn't have time to cover during the show. This is it. It's called IntelliFix 2000. It's a terrific all-in-one solution that solves hardware and software problems. If you're running a business on your PC and Y2K is really important to you, you might want to check out IntelliFix 2000. Cost is only $79. Now for my pick of the week. One of the hot new uses of the internet is for listening to audio. Sites like broadcast.com where you can listen.
One of the hot new ways. I love how he said that as like the coolest thing the kids do.
To radio stations and sites like MP3 where you can listen to and download CD quality music. But one of the fastest growing uses of audio in general is books on tape. And there is a website and an audio player designed specifically for spoken word audio. This is the player right here. It's called the Audible. It's a solid-state audio player.
There it is.
You can listen to this using headphones that come with it. You can use the included stereo cassette adapter if you want to listen in your car radio. To download an audiobook.
That's still relevant here, and that's kind of fucked up. It's kind of still relevant that my car has a cassette player that I need for this.
You log on.
Also, side note, audible.com, everybody.
Audible.com
Before it was everyone's YouTube sponsor, it was this.
Books, and the cost for the books is about half the price you would pay for the cassette version of the same book on tape. I've downloaded the John Grisham novel Testament, so let me plug this in and you can hear what it sounds like.
I had 3 families. 3 ex-wives.
Now, you can automate the download process by scheduling feeds in the middle of the night. If
Yeah, but this was before it was owned by Amazon.
Longer than the memory capacity of the player, the software automatically updates the player and replaces sections you've listened to with new sections. Now, the player itself lets you skip forward or backward a chapter or to another book for that matter. It also lets you insert bookmarks so you can easily go back to a certain favored place in the book. The Audible comes with a simple docking station like this, which plugs into your serial port.
Simple.
This also acts as the battery charger.
Simple docking
The cost for the
station.
player
Oh,
is
boy.
about $200. You can get it for $99 if you agree to buy a minimum number of books online.
Wait, hold on. How much was that? What year was this? 1999? Hold on. Hold on. What was 1999 I'm searching this up. Hold on. I need to find out how much that actually costed. How much was it in 1999? Or okay. Oh, $199. $199 in 1999 is worth 330. Bro, would you buy that for $300? 99 if you buy X books per year. How much is 99? $150. Honestly, it's a good discount, but I don't know. Yeah, it's like, bro, do you want to buy an audiobook player for $300 when you can just get a book on tape? I mean, if you want to be like a trendsetter, sure, but I'd rather just take the Walkman.
That's it for this edition of the Chronicles. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back here again next week with the latest in hardware, software, and the internet. Hope we'll see you here then.
And now he's going to go listen to his audio.
The Computer Chronicles is made possible in part by PeopleSoft, a global supplier
I also
of
love
enterprise
this
application software for business,
graphic.
education, and government. PeopleSoft. We work.
It's so bad. It's so 90s.
By TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news.
God.
And by TVA.
But also just, bruh, this is $300?
With DVD authoring and MPEG encoding services.
It hurts. Just a little.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's
Yeah, let's go.
1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.
Bro. Yo, Mountain View, California.
Chronicles will take you to Los Angeles for the annual Excellence in Software Awards, the Codys. Actor Robert Urich, comedian Rondell Sheridan, and former Apple CEO Gil Amelio join us as we honor the best new computer programs of the year. The Codys, next week on the Computer Chronicles.
What the fuck are the Codys? Oh, that's why they're here, because you could demand tapes of each one. Hell, that's good archiving. Okay, we're gonna skip this one. This is a quick video about the Mac G3. But okay, we're gonna watch this video about the 2038 problem, also known as the Unix epoch, which is kind of similar to what's happening in Y2K. So let's go. Let's see what we got. Let's see. Video loads first.
Well, I want to talk about my favorite number, which is, and I have to look at my paper here, 2,147,483,647. There's several things why it's nice. First of all, it's a prime number, and everyone knows that prime numbers are the best numbers. And it's just not just any prime number, it's a Mersenne prime number. Not only is it a Mersenne prime number, it's a double Mersenne prime number. We only know 4 of them, and this is the biggest one.
So, okay, this sounds like we're in number file territory here. Why is this computer file then?
Cody's nuts!
There's 2
Yeah!
reasons.
I got him!
First, there's a little reason. I do computer security, and everyone knows that prime numbers play a role in certain encryption schemes and other cryptographic protocols. But that's not what I'm talking about today. Maybe next time I'll talk about RSA, where it's particularly relevant. But today, the reason that this number is relevant is because it is the largest signed integer. So this number has a binary representation. And I can write down the binary representation, but I think it is actually enough if I tell you the binary representation. It is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm not going to do all the ones. There's 31 of them. 31 ones. And some of you might recognize that that's very close to a special number, 32. So why is this relevant? A computer doesn't understand anything other than a 0 or a 1, on or off. So if you want to write down a number like 2 or 3 or 4, you're going to have to represent it differently using zeros and ones. Now I'm sure that most viewers that have watched other computer file videos are aware of binary encoding. But we don't only want to encode numbers this way, we also have to encode the sign. Half the numbers you want to encode will be positive numbers, or 0, and the other half will be negative numbers. So what we do is we use the first bit to say whether it's negative or not. So if it's 0, it's a positive number, or 0. If the first bit is a 1, then we're talking about a negative number. This number is going to be a lot more relevant about 18 years from now, and I'll tell you why. But first we have to talk about
16 years from now.
different,
Actually,
which is the way
15.
Unix keeps track of
15
time.
years from now.
Unix changed the world. It changed the world initially, to be fair, for computer scientists.
The Unix keeps track of time by counting the number of seconds since a special date in history. Now, it's not particularly special, it's not the moon landing or anything like that, it's just one that was chosen because it's easy. It is 1970, the 1st of January, and then 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds, UTC.
So for time, why do we need signed integers though? Because time just keeps going up and up and up, right?
That's right. I just mentioned the moon landing. And if you want to represent the moon landing in your system, you're going to have to tell the computer this is before 1970. So you're going to have to use a negative number, and that's why they use signed integers. If in 1972, when they introduced the epoch, they wanted to talk about 5 years ago, you wanted to do plus 2 years, whatever that is in seconds, minus 5 years, whatever that is in seconds, and get a valid time. So that's why they decided to use signed integers. The 1970
it's
first of
weird.
January is called the Unix epoch.
But
So
it's
if
like,
you decide to
fine.
represent time as a signed 32-bit integer, the biggest time in seconds you can represent is roughly 2 billion seconds. If you translate this into years and months and days, you know, a format that a human understands instead of a computer, the date you get is the 19th of January 2038 at around 3:14 a.m. and 8 seconds.
So pi o'clock.
It is
Pi
actually
o'clock.
quite close to pi o'clock. I didn't see that. There's nothing deep there going on, I'm pretty sure.
It's just
but
just cool.
you never know. So at that time, what will happen to any system that is using this way to represent time is that 1 second later, the bit will go from the maximum unsigned integer. So in other words, from 31 ones and 1 0 in front, it will add a 1. And those of you that have watched the video about 2's complement will know that the next number will be 1 followed by 31 zeros, which means minus the biggest number. In other words, it means approximately minus 2 billion seconds, starting from 1970. If we go roughly 2 billion seconds before epoch, we will go to Friday the 13th December 1901. So that means that any device which is keeping track of time in that way will get really confused, and we basically get the millennium bug all over again.
There must be a way of fixing this. Are people working on it already?
Yes, there are people working on it. For those of you old enough to remember actively the millennium bug, there was a lot of hype surrounding it, and in the end, no systems crashed. But that doesn't mean the problem wasn't real. There were a lot of people that worked hard and fixed the bugs, and
The more that we think about the 2038 problem, the more we think about how, like, you're literally gonna have to rewrite the fundamentals of how computers work to fix it. Well, that's not actually necessarily true. So how are you saying that? Remember that this is a 32-bit number, 32-bit timestamp. There are already systems that, in fact, use 64-bit timestamps for their timekeeping, and are backwards compatible, of course. And the thing with the 64-bit timecode is that the date is actually, the date where that expires will be past the heat death of the universe, I believe? So we are never going to worry about that problem ever again.
Fortunately, they managed to catch nearly all of them. The same thing will happen with the Unix epoch. All the systems that are running on 32-bit integers will be patched, and the solution is kind of obvious. We need to use bigger numbers.
It just might be that,
so
like,
the
the old
obvious
ones
switch
just don't
is
work,
to use 64-bit
which sucks.
numbers.
Oh, I think he's going to explain it,
And
like,
most
right here.
systems these days are 64-bit, right? Or the new ones that are coming out.
Yeah, but even 32-bit systems can understand 64-bit integers. You just need to use some tricks to do it. So it's not a limitation of the system. It was just done back in the day because memory was a lot more expensive back then than it was now. Computations were a lot more expensive. So they didn't want to use any more bits than strictly necessary. Nowadays, we're swimming in bits. So 64, you know, it may sound like 64. Why did we only double it? Why didn't we take more? Well, 64 bits actually gives you quite a bit of extra time to work on the next millennium problem. You want to take a guess how long it takes before we run out of 64 bits?
Well, I sense the trap is it's easy to think you're just doubling the number, but actually it's kind of like some kind of exponential crazy thing,
yes. You've avoided the trick. I will tell you when we will run out of 64-bit unsigned integers. It will happen on the 4th of December, around 3:30 p.m., 8 seconds past that, in the year 29, 22, 77,
There it is.
6596. So I think most systems will be patched by the time that date comes around.
Well, we'll be good.
Believe it or not, that now magically gets rid of the 2 zeros problem just by shifting the range.
See, we're already good for that very large number problem. And now that we are Y2K38 compliant, I gotta update the sticker. Hold on, we gotta update the sticker. Hold on. You know, just put it over. You know, make sure you don't, you know, just cover the old one. There we go. We're now Y2K38 compliant. We did it. Okay. We're still talking about Y2K stuff because there's dope. This entire thing is just amazing. Let me just clear out some of this stuff in here. Okay. So we're gonna unbox some stuff from Y2K. I think this will be the last video for today. It is 45 minutes long, but it will be interesting to see what's in here.
Recently, a viewer sent me 2 great big boxes of stuff. I believe the story was that his dad used to go to Circuit City and just buy all kinds of stuff, gadgets, computer accessories, weird things. And it's all just been sitting up in the attic untouched for years. And he offered to just box it all up and send it to me,
that's a bit much,
agreed.
you know?
So now I have it, and I know some of what's in here, but not all of it. So we're just going to go through all of it right here together. Also, if you're wondering about the attire and the camera, I tried the GoPro on the head routine a few weeks ago, and everyone hated it. It made people motion sick. Understandable. So people said I should try it on my chest. Gonna give that a shot. I do look ridiculous the rest of the time, so I just went ahead and put on the denim jacket as well, and now nobody knows what sort of whole thing I'm rocking. Anyway, let's see what's in here. Obviously, I can't just tilt it all out on the desk, so do this one thing at a time. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, wow, okay. We have an EasyCam USB 2.
Ooh.
So right off the bat, this is a really cheesy box. Like, that feels like such a weird nit to pick, but
front.
You can tell the quality of a product based on its box. This is really thin paper. So this is a 4-in-1 PC camera. They're emphasizing the 4th capability is games. This has GameCam Special Edition Plus.
Yo, it has iTunes. Also, this guy's face. He's in there twice. Don't just send email. Hold on. Don't send just email, send video mail. Yeah, because people will be able to open that up and, you know, maybe your video...
What would that be?
Yo, does this say that it's Y2K compliant?
GameCam SE lets you play inside the game. No joystick, no gamepad, just you?
You're the controller! Yo, you're the controller! We connect, boys. We iToy. We iToy.
Is this a motion tracking system? I did not know this was in here. So, oh gosh, look at this. GameCam Basketball, GameCam Karate, and GameCam Ghost Lab.
I am pretty sure those are just the games that came with the iToy.
Energy bolt, shoot from your hands, defend yourself against the ghosts. It's not just a game, it's a workout. Joysticks are for sissies. So the first thing I pull out of the box is a product I never even knew existed. And it looks like just the cheesiest little like Logitech eyeball camera, probably just 320 by 240, 640 by 480 at most, but what could that game cam thing even be like? I'm not gonna be able to demonstrate it in this video, obviously, but I'm really looking forward to see if it works. Oh, good, we've got the software. Oh, this is disc 1. Okay, good, Reality Fusion, GameCam SE, and Ghost Lab. There might be 2 discs in there. Nope, just 1. So this says disc 1. I don't see a disc 2, so hopefully that's everything I need on there. And then
I want to see the webcam. Come
camera itself with the longest cord I think I've ever seen on a webcam.
Yo, that looks like
Lordy, that's like 10 feet. Now we've got a laptop
meant to be
here,
used as a game controller.
I know
of
there's
course
several webcams in here, so let's see if this is just a normal USB video class device. I'm guessing for its age that it won't be. I don't think at the time that this would have come out that they had the USB video class driver yet. This says it supports Windows 98 or Windows 2000, so this is from 99 or 2000 or thereabouts. So I think we could say it's not from 2001 or later because it would say Windows XP. It looks like it didn't show up in OBS, so I don't think this works without drivers. Not at all.
It looks cute.
Surprised.
I like that
wow.
it's like long.
I'm really looking forward to trying this out later. Hopefully, I'll get
It's
another
like this-
video out
it's
of it
like- it's so
soon
long.
because it sounds like they're just trying to do like Connect, but
Long boy.
way ahead of time. There were probably a lot of companies who tried to do that thing, but I'm shocked that they supposedly actually got a product that shipped. You know, I didn't even bother looking at any of the other features on here. Let's see, we've got Live Express video panel, simple to use VCR controls, record self-playing video mail, and then a video composer, so that's like a Windows Movie Maker kind of thing. Live Express, which is just for compressing video for emails, copy of Microsoft NetMeeting, which I thought was built into Windows at this point, and then ULEAD Photo Express. So yeah, unsurprisingly, nothing else amazing on there because what can you do really with a webcam other than take pictures and videos? This little pamphlet here says they had some other software, I guess. Presto Video Works, ULEAD Cool 360, bunch of other stuff from ULEAD. Back in the day, ULEAD was just all over consumer video products. They were everywhere. On the back here, they got a bunch of other cheesy cameras they apparently made. Looks like they have a standalone digital camera and then Easy Phone Cam, probably one of those terrible early video phone options that nobody actually used. So really, altogether, nothing interesting going on here compared to any other webcam, except for the fact that they claim to have like a Microsoft Connect, 12, 13 years ahead of schedule. Really interested to see if that ends up working. I would love to make a video about that. All right, what is next? Oh, whoops. It's just a 430 watt APX power supply. Okay, and now we've got another webcam. This is a D-Link DSB C100. Much more than a
just
PC
strap a little
digital
leggies
camera.
on. Yeah, it looks like a robot head.
Communications system combines state-of-the-art optical technology and complete audio-visual software at an affordable price.
Yo, this
So, in
looks
other
like it
words,
also is a
it's just
robot
a
head.
webcam that happens to include a disc with probably pretty much the same programs. This is sealed, but let's take a look and see what we've got. Oh man, I'm never gonna be able to sell this thing at auction now. Just realized the box says, "Get closer to start communicating on your PC is in this box."
What?
Let's hear that again. "Get closer to start communicating on your PC is in this box." I don't even know how that's supposed to read.
What?
You know what else? This also says, "Send video email anywhere you send email right now. No additional receiving software required. You can include a video viewer with each message." Boy howdy, this thing is definitely from the year 2000 when people were still willing to click an EXE attachment. Oh, look at that.
Horrifying.
Ooh, wow, okay.
Oh.
So they actually sold this in the like hang tag bubble pack in the box.
Why did it
That's
come in
weird, but I guess they only wanted to make one pack for it. So they would have put a different card in here if they were going to sell it just hanging up in
Yo,
a store.
it's
I
year
suppose.
2000
Got the
class.
manual, of course. We got the disc with MGI.
To its benefit, it is year 2000 clear plastic, so that's kind of cool.
Video Wave and MGI Photo Suite. Yep, I saw that all over the place back then. And then Smith Micro Video Link Mail. So really no different than the other thing. It's just a webcam with
Has a
piece of
floppy.
software for compressing video to email and then some basic video editing software. Probably pretty crummy. The
There it
camera
is.
itself, though, is actually,
Oh, it looks
kind of better
so
built than I expected.
cute.
It's got quite a bit of heft to it. I like this little, it's got this little ball joint for adjusting it here. I don't think the cable was that color originally. There's a distinct sort of green to it that probably was not intended. I think that the plastic probably degraded. But the rest of this, like, it's made out of, I think, polycarbonate or something. It feels very robust. Oh man, it's got that fresh vinyl smell to it. Oof, the smell of a computer store in 2000, let me tell you. I actually really like this thing. I'm guessing it too is not going to work without drivers. It's probably not a USB video class device. And yeah, sure enough. So I'm gonna have to put this on like a Windows 98 machine in order to test it at some point. But you know, pretty much every webcam looked exactly the same until we started getting the HD ones. I do like the design of this one though. It looks much more interesting than all the various Logitech eyeball knockoffs. Next up, we have a World Talk internet phone. Now this is interesting. There are a few different ways they could have done this, and I've done some investigation into some of them before, but not all of them. Again, this is sealed, so I'm just killing the value by opening it up. Man, I could have made $1 million off of this in 20 years. but I'm doing this for you. This is another one of those extremely thin paperboard boxes, and I'm asking myself now if maybe everything used to come in these, and they just stepped up their game after Apple started making everyone look like fools with their extremely heavy paperboard. I didn't even, you know what? I didn't even read the box on this thing. Let's see. Make long-distance calls for free across the internet. Provides real-time two-way phone conversations compatible with all internet phone software. Requires Windows 95 compatible full duplex sound card. So I'm kind of wondering if this is nothing more than a microphone and a speaker. I think that's what it is. I think you're expected to have your own software and your own online voice system
Well, I was
already.
expecting
which
it to actually
at the time there were
have a
actually
voice
quite a few. If this was circa 99 or 2000, 97 in fact, even earlier. But there were a few different early voice over IP systems that they could have expected you to use this with. So I'm kind of guessing that they didn't include anything of their own, and that's what it's looking like. So we've got some Velcro pads here, and then we've got a little manual, and we've got the device itself. So this was a really common design practice with a lot of these like ultra cheesy Taiwanese telephones you could find around this time. The flat handset. It's neither stylish nor is it comfortable. Like this.
Future-y.
Oh, this is actually like immediately painful. It also weighs a ton, which means they overcompensated. If I open this up, I would find that there's a hunk of steel plate in there, lead if I'm really lucky, just to give this heft, because all it is a couple pieces of extremely thin plastic. So thin that you can see the warping in it where it contracted in the mold. And then there's a little electric mic here and the tiniest speaker you've seen in your life. So if they didn't put that steel weight in there, this thing would blow away in like a light breeze. But they went too hard, and now it feels heavier than even like a Western Electric handset from a real telephone. Anyway, here is the base. So they really went all in on trying to make this look legit. Oh, okay, so it's got a battery case, so this must actually have its own amplifier in it, which makes sense because it looks like it might have a speakerphone feature. There's what looks like a mic there and a speaker there. You can bet the echo on that was terrible. So yeah, you can plug this into your computer. It just takes a 3.5 millimeter headphone mic jack, so it would plug into any sound card. And then, wow, doesn't look too terrible, honestly, when it's all put together, but you would never want to actually make a call on this. It's awful. But it's basically just a loudspeaker and a handset that you can plug into an ordinary sound card, and then you have to solve the rest of the problem.
I want one, and I want to use it, like on stream. Because I could just plug this into like my Go XLR with the same connections and then just use it normally. I wonder how bad that would be.
So I absolutely love this
absolute
World Talk internet phone, but there's nothing internet about this. It's just basically a computer headset in a different shape. Make long distance calls for free across the internet. This accomplishes no such task. If you already have that feature, then you can use this with it. But I guess their whole objective was just to get you to buy this and then find out that you have to get another piece of software to use with it and hope that you'll do that instead of just returning this. It's kind of a weird scam, huh? At any rate, terrible product, very poorly built, but who is surprised? All right, 3 devices and 3 pretty cheesy ones. What's next? Wow, that sure has got a little bit of age on it.
Yellow.
There. You know, I don't even know if this was ever opened up by the original owner or if it just rotted and fell apart on its own. Doesn't look like they cut it, so I think the plastic just crumbled. Funny, it's kind of it's holding up for me, so I don't know. Anyway, all right, web meeting webcam to go kit. Includes everything you need to chat with friends and colleagues on the internet. You can video, email, video calls. It's the same messaging as all the other stuff, right?
That thing is tiny as hell, though.
It's the software that does everything else. But this one is also a portable camera you can use standalone. It says it'll take 27 low-resolution pictures. I can pretty much guess what those look like, but we'll see if maybe we can test that.
It sucks I don't know why. I feel like it feels slightly depressing when I see like yellowed plastic.
And then it's got
in my mind it just means like in my mind it means like people didn't take care of their stuff, and I'm like, oh.
Of course, it's wired, but boy, that is really cheap. I don't think you'd want to put that in your ear. I don't want to put that in my ear, even to find out what it feels like.
No.
That's all just hard plastic. There's no rubber on there, so you're gonna put that on your ear, and it's just gonna be digging into it the whole time. And then we've got a base back here, which has actually been broken off over the years, it looks like. You got the little proprietary USB cable, I do believe. Oh, yeah. I guess maybe this predates the mini USB plug. Maybe that was USB 2.0 when they introduced that.
That's a dumb connector that they use on
got a little,
old cameras, I
it's
think.
actually fairly positive. You know, this feels better than mini USB. Maybe they should have talked to these folks instead of the terrible thing they came up with.
Yeah, no, that's the
This guy
connector
here
they
is a
use
little
for digital
sleeve
cameras.
that you
I
dock
think
this
it was
thing into in
Garbo.
order to put it on the tripod. And then this is the cable for the headset. And there's two extremely leaky batteries in there. So I'm not going to be opening this up any further. So this takes 2 AAAs. Let's take a picture, and if I'm able to get it off this thing, I will put it in the video.
There she is.
Okay, battery's in. Light comes on.
Oh, it still works.
There are 2 different buttons on here. So let me take a picture here. I think I'm taking a picture. There's a light blinking. It beeped. And then there's another one on top.
In the future.
What does that do? Okay, so I think maybe that's like a self-timer or a video button. And then this one actually takes a snapshot. So
take a selfie.
If I successfully offload the pictures from this camera, then you're seeing them on the screen right now, and I'm betting they look just dreadful.
It sucks.
Next
it looks like it's
item.
a good
What do we
grunge
have
album
here?
cover, though.
Oh, okay. So this thing here is the Glenair Active Link wireless communication pack. And at first it looks like it's just like a cellular modem to use with your Palm Pilot. But in fact, it's for a handspring visor, which is sort of like a Palm Pilot, but different. And it includes one. It's the complete kit, apparently. And I've never had one of those, so that's fairly exciting. I noticed actually on top, SkyTel, a WorldCom company. So is this a cellular or satellite-based system? Yeah, I have absolutely no idea what kind of system this uses. It just says wireless email and internet connectivity for the handspring visor. Says superior coverage, stay connected inside buildings and across North America. It says that the Active Link module receives and stores email even when removed. What on earth is this thing and how does it work? I've never heard of anything like this. Yeah, there's no hints on the package of how it functions.
Interesting branding.
Let's take a look inside and see what it looks like. Yeah, so I was thinking that sticker on top that said SkyTel was the name of a specific provider, and sure enough, there's a little booklet in here, online services from SkyTel. Little ad on the back here, I want my news, custom newscasts from SkyTel. So there's a little manual here for Skywriter. Don't know what that is, and it says, welcome to the SkyTel two-way system. We're pleased you've chosen to use the world's most advanced messaging network, but then it doesn't explain what it is or how it works, unfortunately. So I have no...
From the image on the front, it looks like the girl, she had like a beeper. So it maybe be like a beeper to beeper communication service.
No idea what this is. It looks like an advanced paging surface.
Oh my god, I have to explain what pagers are.
There's so much stuff in here.
Wait, do you guys know what pagers are?
Pieces. We've got some
yes.
stickers. Yeah.
But
all
don't
sorts
lie.
Of pamphlets. Oh, you can get a wallet. CD in there with handspring software. All right, and then we've got the device itself, presumably. That's a case.
Okay,
that's a dock. Ah, here we go.
What the?
And
wow, that's kind
I
of
admit that I
crummy
cannot remember the
in
history
the box.
of handspring, but from the manual, it looked like this is actually related to Palm. Not sure what's going on there. Don't know how that
I'm
whole
glad
relationship
people
happened.
here
This is weird.
remember
this thing
these
was
things.
sealed, but there were 2 sets of batteries in here. One laying in the box. Those are Panasonic branded, and they've leaked. And then there's another set here from a different brand, Varda. Yeah, those ones have leaked as well, of course. But this one's been folded over and just stuffed in here. So I wonder if SkyTel was probably like a value-added reseller sort of thing, and they got this kit, put their own bits and pieces in it, and then resealed it to sell in their own little slipcover.
Big
well, anyway, we still have 2 AAAs here. So
I'm glad people still remember what beepers are. I had to remind people. I had to tell people how unlimited messaging and texting works before messaging.
And of course, this looks like every other Palm device I've ever seen. I think this might
it
be
has
what
a Game
makes
Boy
the visor
cartridge
special. I'm fairly certain that a normal Palm device doesn't have this slot back here, which is going to be where this guy plugs
cool
in.
Funky thing
Wow, that is a cute little module. Look at that. It's like a rumble pack Finally, I'll be able to feel it when I throw Bowser off the ledge. There's like some rubber leaking out.
Yeah, that's a handspray.
From behind this thing.
Yeah.
Some sort of seal must have gone bad. Anyway, so this guy slots in there.
It looks like you're
Boy
plugging
cartridge,
in the Game Boy
and then crashes
camera.
the system. No, seriously, that actually just happened. I don't think you're supposed to plug stuff in during the like out-of-box experience program, so it's not really prepared for you to do that, and I just crashed it. So if I reset it, is it just going to crash again? Wow, this thing is hosed. It won't do anything.
Oh, he hosed the...
I can't even shut it off.
Oh
man,
no,
this
he
rocks.
bricked it.
All right, it's fine. I'll have to figure that out later. You know, I hadn't handled any of the early Palm devices, at least not in a really long time.
This is honest. That's
This thing
actually
feels
very
really well built. Feels good in the hand. Huh? I wonder why they were successful. Definitely
It's very
the most
small.
interesting thing in the box.
Or
so
very
far.
compact in the hand.
All right, what's next? We've got a 3-port FireWire PCI card. I'm not gonna bother opening that up because there's never any software in there. There's never any special features. It just is what it is. It works or it doesn't.
FireWire when
Okay, we've
USB
got
was not the
another
mainstay for
camera.
fast cameras.
This is the
Connections.
Kensington Video Cam. Wow, that is a really creative name.
Kensington?
Just pulling out all the stops.
Like the
there.
guys who make the
So what do we
locks?
have here? It's USB again. PC
Might
or
be the
Mac
guys who make the
compatible, of
locks.
course. Post your pics free. Digitalfridge.com. Wow, that's cute.
wow,
This was
okay.
a thing. At this time, there were a number of vendors that were trying to get people to buy cameras, video cameras, still cameras to use with their computers, and they were putting together these free image sharing sites like this. Sony was actually doing the same thing at the same time with their Vios that had built-in cameras. Now, this is interesting. So on
They
the
made
side
their own,
here,
like,
it gives
photo
the
bucket
sensor
things?
resolution, and not all webcams actually did that. But this one not only gives it, but it says that it's a Super CIF 400 by 300 sensor. Now, CIF, C-I-F, what is it? Common Intermediary Format? Yeah, Common Intermediate Format was a standard for online teleconferencing that was developed in the late 80s that specified a specific picture size. Now, of course, nobody remembers this, but for some weird reason, in China, all the electronics manufacturers continued using this as a standard resolution for eons. In fact, you can still buy like webcams that were just from some random Chinese factory that say that they're CIF resolution. And the weird thing is, it's not one you'd recognize. It's 352 by 288. So it's this weird intermediate size. Well, this guy here is Super CIF, which is 400 by 300, just a little bit bigger in both dimensions. I've never heard of that resolution before. I'm kind of surprised. Anyway, same marketing as the other ones. Send snapshots, video email, or make live video calls. So it's going to have the same software.
Looks like a
and everything
legit camera
as the
though,
other ones
so
we've looked at.
I guess it's
The
just
only
a
reason I'm actually
bad
bothering to get it out of the
digital
box is just because it's got a weird shape to it. Wow, this is a really terrible box. I actually really hate this box. There's the gadget.
no.
It's actually
what?
Feels kind of chintzy the way they built it. It's kind of strange. Oh man, it's got a not silicone, but I think like a soft PVC lens cap.
It comes with a
Seen
lens
that
cap.
before. That's completely new to me. I guess this doesn't seem all that poorly made. I mean,
It looks like
a
if
little chintzy. It's
80s
got a
Apple
strange
made a camera.
texture on the plastic, but it's got this built-in tilt feature.
Ooh.
That's kind of cool. It's actually got a tripod socket on the bottom, and it feels fairly solid. So I guess that's all right. Again, it's going to require special drivers, so I can't hook it up and demo it.
It does look cute though.
We've got a
Looks like it would
Belkin
fit on top
Classic
of an
mouse,
Apple.
which appears to be completely and utterly oh no, I'm sorry.
Oh lordy.
Okay, well it's got something going on here because it's a 3-button mouse and it says it has a programmable center button to perform frequently used commands such as double click, home, and page up, page down. So
Macros.
that's going to have to be software. Yeah, it's got a driver diskette. This is
Macros.
probably a completely ordinary 3-button mouse, nothing special about it, and then Belkin just included a program that monitors the mouse, and if it sees you press the middle button, it injects a keyboard shortcut. We've got a modem
Yeah, it
here,
sounds right.
from a brand I've seen before but don't know much about. This is from Sterling Communications. Absolutely nothing worth mentioning there. Oh, wow, here we go. Now, this one is also equally boring, but it's got a much more exciting design.
Oh, that
All
looks
the-
like a cheap
Man,
design. I love it.
56K.
You can tell it's fast because there's lightning graphics on it.
They really made the most of that Find Edges filter in Photoshop.
Wow.
There are actually some interesting and rare features that dial-up modems can have,
It's
so I always
so
check
cool.
to see if they have them.
Wow.
They never do, sadly. This one does say that it has some data communications and fax software included, and I'm kind of curious what that is. but not
It's
enough to
like
get it all
the
out of box.
future.
Okay, now
Wow.
here's something interesting. This is the wireless intelligent trackball. This has the exact same styling as this guy here. Yep, sure enough, these are both from Interact, a division of Rikaton Corporation.
I don't know why, but these two devices look like they would be advertised like alongside RoboCop toys. They have like the same branding style.
And they're both copyrighted in 1997. So whatever we have in here is going to be incredibly cheap, but I do have to admit that I have never actually seen a wireless infrared trackball before. This one looks like it's probably intended for, you know, presentations, that sort of thing. You know, I see like play, pause, forward, back, so maybe they're thinking of it being used for like a multimedia PC, something plugged into your television. That would make a lot of sense given the era. We were trying really hard to make that happen at the time. Wow, this thing is really poorly made. Like the fit and finish isn't just bad, it's kind of absent. Everything's just sort of wobbling all over the place, and
it looks like they were trying to do the
there's nowhere to put your
like,
fingers that feels
desktop.
right. And the ball itself
Home
feels like it's
desktop
jammed
thing.
in place, even though this thing is brand new. The buttons are like sort of riding up here as if this thing got hit really hard, even though it's clearly brand new. So yeah, it looks like the manufacturing tolerances on this were about what you'd expect.
It's the year
from
of the
company that
Steam
produced
desktop. Or
the World
something.
Talk internet phone. So this runs off 2 AA's. It's got 2 buttons underneath here and then 2 buttons on top. And I guess you hold it like this. You use your index finger to hit one or the other button by rocking it back and forth. And then you can hit either of the top buttons with your thumb.
It looks like a combination of like a weird bad presenter's remote and well, a TV remote.
That's not too great. Also, it's got all these media controls down
Trying to
here.
bridge-
And
trying
this
to bridge
is
the
like your
gap-
typical, like, TV
the gap
remote
there?
control with the rubber buttons, but it's actually somehow worse than the usual. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it feels even mushier than a rubber keypad should.
It looks
I don't
like
know how they
garbage,
achieved
though,
that.
so-
Now, this is actually called the Web Dot Remote, but I don't see what's web
Web
about it.
dot
It looks
remote.
like it's really intended for multimedia control, so it's kind of peculiar. But yeah, this
Calm
thing is
down.
exactly as cheap as I thought it was. And you know, I'd love to hook it up and try it, but this one, as it turns out, requires serial, and I don't really have anything handy with a working serial port. If I knew this was a serial mouse, I would have brought my my D620. All right, and then there's one more thing in this box, which is the micro webcam internet video camera. So
There are a
pretty
lot of
much the
webcams
same
in
as
this.
all the others. Send snapshots and video mail, custom color faceplates. Oh, sure enough, yeah. It comes with a blue one on it, and there's a green one and a red one.
Ooh,
This was the car after
customizability.
the
What
iMac,
a
yeah.
selling point.
Same old story. It's got a video capture program, a copy of NetMeeting, Presto, Mr. Photo's digital camera utility, video recorder, and then a little image editor. So pretty much the exact same thing as all the other ones. Now there's actually 2 boxes here, so that was all the stuff from the first box. Let's set this aside and take a look in the second. All right, this is box number 2, and it feels like it's got less in it. Let's see what we got. Whoa.
What's that?
So this is the My Smart Pad
What?
Smart Mouse Pad. See, outsmart the internet with the My Smart Pad. Smart functions, My Smart specials. Oh, receive exclusive offers and special savings as part of the My Smart community. So right off the bat, this thing's a scam. They were using this for advertising. What else is new?
are
Wow.
you?
No, actually, the whole thing is the scam. Everything on here is talking about
The whole
my
thing's a
neighborhood, my
scam.
city.
Let's go.
In touch with what's happening in your area.
Scam?
Entertainment, dining, shopping, etc. My Express checkout simplifies online purchases. This has a smart card included with it. And then check this out. Automatically receive future inserts with valuable savings.
Oh,
they
no.
want to send you like an insert that goes in this thing, which presumably is just sort of a big touchpad kind of thing. I'm kind of curious how the actual mechanism works.
I'm trying to figure out how
Supposedly, they're
much
gonna
of a
sell
scam
you,
this is.
Updates to this thing that you can stick in there that I don't know. What would valuable savings for the insert be? Man, this whole thing is so weird. It's a smart card reader, and it's some sort of touchpad, and you put a mouse on it, and what is going on here? Once again, it's got that disintegrating plastic, but it's not disintegrating quite enough, so let's help it. All right, so it is USB, not some sort of weird serial thing. Ah. Oh man, oh, it feels so cheap. It's just like this thin,
what the
flexible
oh,
piece of plastic.
it
It's
bent.
got a little USB smart card reader up here, presumably, but the rest of it just.
fuck?
Oh, wow, okay. So it's not any kind of touchpad. I was thinking it might be some sort of like resistive touchpad, but
there's
I don't know if you can hear that. It's just got buttons in there. So all this thing is just a little keypad with like 12 or 15 buttons on it, and then you can flip this up and take out the insert in here, I guess. There we go. Oh, wow, yeah, there's the mechanism. That's all it is. It's
oh, wow, that's
keypad.
shit.
And all this does is send, I don't know, it's probably key codes or something. This probably just shows up as a USB keyboard. It does like Control Shift 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll bet it's something as simple
My
as that.
coworker has like a
And this
nice
is just
version
a
of that.
piece of plastic
There's a
that
way
you
nice
shove
version of
in
something
there,
like this.
which allows this company
This is
to
bad.
make marketing revenue off of you. This is absolutely incredible.
Oh my God, that's
And
a
this is
comp.
interesting.
Yo,
This
yo, Comp USA. Yo, Comp USA.
little cutout.
Yo,
up
Comp
here,
USA.
I'm pretty sure that's some sort of encoding because it sticks up there and it goes under the edge of the smart card module here. And when you stick it in, there's some resistance.
It's a macro pad.
And it feels like it's actually pressing on a mechanism. So I think that's actually a little encoder that tells it which card you put in, which is clever. Can I open this up?
Kind of.
Oh no. This thing is made so inexpensively that they didn't bother putting screws or tabs or anything like that in it.
Oh, is it all
It's been melted closed, it looks like. It looks like there's just like plastic stakes that go through from this side to the other. And they just melted them over to hold it together. So I could open this up, but I'd be destroying it in the process. Let's plug it in, though. It might require drivers, or it could just show up as a like a USB keyboard. Okay, so there's an HID compliant vendor defined device in here. I've never seen that before, but I think we can guess that that's what this thing is.
Okay, we got
when I
something.
press the buttons, it doesn't do anything. So, you know, I didn't see a smart card reader appear. So this does have the actual smart card contact pattern on it, but they must just be using it internally rather than
What do smart cards do?
actually
I
doing
actually
the,
don't know.
secured nonsense you're supposed to do with those. You know, the software here might work, and this machine has a CD-ROM, so let's give it a shot.
No, yeah.
I don't know if it installs an actual driver or just a program that looks
ID?
at that.
Oh, okay. So it's like a company
If it's a
thing.
driver,
Got
it probably
Gotcha.
won't work because this is a x64 version of Windows.
Like sign
oh,
in.
No, there we go.
I
It
see,
disappeared and reappeared in Device Manager, and now it says pad key and insert detected. What virus have I just installed? Yeah, it tried to take me to their website, and unsurprisingly, it's gone.
What
This is
scam have
gross.
I
There's
just
this little
installed?
My Assistant program that hangs out in the corner at all times. I
Oh,
kind of feel like
sweet
I just
God.
installed Bonzi Buddy, but that it won't be able to mess with anything else on my network because it's so old.
Oh,
Fingers
no.
crossed, but I should wipe this machine soon. Anyway, it doesn't look like I can make anything else
I should
go.
nuke this thing
Let me press a button
after
here.
installing
I think
one
this
piece of
thing is
software for a
upset that
mouse
It can't get in
pad.
touch with the mothership. I don't think it's going to work at all unless it can phone home. So I think that's that. It's actually a shame that they don't let you customize it because if I could have set this thing up as an AirSats 2001 era Stream Deck, man, I would have used it for something. Oh, one more thing. The included insert is interesting. It's actually badged for Quest, which was the local telephone company here until they got acquired by CenturyLink. But what's on here seems really limited. Like you'd expect there to be links to various like Quest services, but instead I've just got a Comp USA button, and then everything else looks like it's just stock MySmart links.
Comp
so
USA.
don't really know
Comp
what
USA.
Quest got out of that deal. I don't know if I can even get this back into the original packaging, so I'm just gonna dump it over here. Next item. Boy howdy, there are so many webcams in here. Now, this one is kind of spicy because it's from Avermedia,
spicy.
which is actually a legitimate
Yo, Avermedia.
company, unlike most of the rest of those. And it outright says true 640 by 480 high resolution. And at this time, that was kind of a big deal. It says it was designed for Windows 98 only, so that puts this in, 1998, 99 at most. This might actually be decent quality. Again, it's going to be USB 1.1, so I'm not
It's
going to
probably not going to be
so I can't demo
garbage.
it right
Let's
now.
go.
Especially because It actually says on the front here, built-in compression for faster speed display and capture. So that suggests it's actually compressing the video before it sends it over the USB cable, which is a really good idea. In fact, it might even be necessary for a webcam at 640 by 480 to work over USB 1. As usual, it comes with the same old stuff. AverMedia Intercam Elite, MGI Photo Suite again, Acer Easy Express Video Mail, video conferencing software. So all these things were for the same purpose and came with the same stuff. Now, I had actually, when I made this video, I knew that there were a bunch of webcams in there. I didn't realize there were this many, but I was hoping as I pulled them out, I could just start plugging each one into a machine and have them all recording me. But since they're all USB 1 and they don't speak the standard USB video class interface, I can't do that. So really a bummer. But hopefully I'll be able to like do a little shootout with these later. Maybe I'll put it on my side channel or something so I can see how they all compare. But I'm guessing this one probably looks quite a bit better than the others. I mean, this actually says on the side that it supports YUV422. Most of my video gear doesn't do that. It's apples and oranges, but it's still funny.
Honestly,
And
I'm surprising they're very comprehensive in what they actually list. That's cool.
And bothered putting specifications on here that, whether they really apply or not,
They actually
are nonetheless
cared.
the things that you would be looking for if you knew what you were talking about. Next up, what do we have? Okay, so this is a Creative Sound Blaster X-Fi PCI.
Oh snap, we got a sound
Unfortunately,
card.
This one is not too exciting either.
Aw.
Okay, this is a Mouse Systems PC Trackball 2. This is a nice looking
Is it just a
box.
trackball?
Well, I mean, it's Mouse Systems, and they were actually really proud of their product. At this time, the computer mouse had become completely commodified, and almost everyone on the market was being churned out of, random anonymous factories somewhere in China or Taiwan. So Mouse Systems, who I'm sure was also having their stuff produced in Taiwan, yep, made in Taiwan, ROC, was nonetheless still very proud of their product, I believe. And you could tell from the amount of care they put into actually making the box look good. They got all these screenshots of the configuration software and whatnot. But as for the mouse itself, so it's serial, so I don't have a way to demo it for you. We'd be here for hours if I actually showed off all this stuff, I'm now realizing. So this is actually a blessing in disguise. But let's see how this mouse actually feels. So, interesting button layout. I thought this would be the middle button, but it's not. This is. Spicy, but okay. So the ball itself doesn't roll as well as I would.
It looks
hoped.
okay. I would.
Buttons are. You know what? I don't like this.
Modern
Didn't
trackballs
take
really
long.
have come a long
Boy,
way, to be
I
honest.
really don't like this. Like, you got to reach back like that, or are you supposed to?
Now it's like on your
supposed to do it
thumb
like this, like
or
is there a
whatever.
picture on the box. I'm not actually sure how you're supposed to hold this thing or which finger you're supposed to use to operate the
Things
ball.
have changed.
But
That's
either
cool.
way, it doesn't feel very comfortable, and the ball doesn't roll very well. So I had made the quip that Mouse Systems was still kind of full of themselves at this point. Looks like they didn't quite deserve it anymore, because this thing kind of feels like crap. Mechanism looks completely ordinary. The rubber is in good condition. They got little ball bearings down here, so I don't really see what they did wrong. I don't know if this was just a misfire or if Mouse Systems had really fallen from grace at this point, but I'm kind of surprised by that. I expected this to feel a little better. Okay, we got just a couple more things in here. So this is another wireless mouse, an actual mouse rather than a trackball, and I think I've actually seen this before. This little receiver here on the back, or if the GoPro's working, that guy right there. I've seen that on someone's desk once before. Now this one is from A-Open, and I think they're a Chinese or Taiwanese company. There's certainly a lot of kind of confusing language on here. For instance,
These aren't like too
it
bad.
says
so
programmable
far.
buttons, lucky jump, net jump, etc. makes operation easy. And I don't know why those words
Whatever
are supposed
that
to make me think
means.
it's going to be easy, because I don't know what either one of those words means. It is a wheel mouse. That's cool. Also, it's not infrared. It's actually RF. Although I don't see anywhere on here what frequency band it uses. I kind of wonder if they used a generic box they could sell it in different countries that use different frequencies. I do notice that there's a sticker on the front that says works in Windows XP. So this must have been released in about 2000. And then when XP came along, yep, right here on the side, it says it supports 9598 ME 2000. So this was right on the cusp. So it says it has 255 user ID codes, no problems with radio frequency interference. but I don't know what frequency band it uses. I'm guessing for this era, it still would have been 900 megahertz. It does look like there might be an interesting utility on here. There's this thing called iWheelWorks that's apparently in the driver disc, and there's a little picture on the side showing scroll wheel controls and then multimedia speaker volume. So if this actually let you tie your scroll wheel to your system volume, man, I would have rocked that back in the day. I would have loved that. Again, I can't demo it at the moment, but that's actually pretty cute. That's one of the more practical products in this whole collection that I actually would have wanted, I think. I think there's just one more thing
It's
in
cool.
here. Oh, there's a couple more things. So this is an AverMedia TV98 video capture card. I know exactly what this is going to look like, but let's just pull it out anyway. Yep, there's the card itself. It's got this cheesy sticker on there, to let you know which local broadcasting standard it's designed for. This chip here with the sticker on it is going to be a Brooktree 848. Oh wow, this is actually the better one. This is the BT870
capture card,
so
right?
I believe that's actually one of the better video capture chips you could get. Yeah. All the same, you know, it just captures standard definition video. What is the second card that's in this box though? There's a palm scanner interface in here. What the heck? It's an 8-bit ISA card, but it has a big warning that says, please plug in the 16-bit slot only. What on earth is going on here? Well, I can't readily figure out what scanner this is for, but this is definitely a proprietary interface card. It looks like a parallel port just because it's DB25,
Like a
but
palm scanner,
I'm
like
positive
as in
this
like
is something custom. So yeah, I don't know what that was doing in this particular box. I don't see the scanner for it in here or anything. And in fact, I don't even think I have the drivers for the AverMedia. Yeah, I don't. So I couldn't even use this card if I wanted to. Not that there are any terrestrial broadcasts left, although you can put a composite NES video into it. So I guess it still serves a purpose. All right, and I believe this is the last item.
Ooh, okay.
Oh my gosh. This is another of these.
I love this in box. Just gonna put it out there. This box looks great.
Webcam video email systems, but this one takes itself way more seriously. Look at how hardcore this is. Oh, so this is also a video capture card? Watch TV and listen to FM radio on your PC, but it also
I remember when that was like the absolute shit, and I had a computer that could.
Okay, this box is a complete mess. So it says Video Email Extreme, and on the back it says, with Cybermail Extreme, you can work on your PC and watch TV, listen to FM radio, record from the TV, radio, camcorder, or include a digital camera. So at first, this sounds like just another one of those webcam kits that we were just looking at. That's just a webcam and a program for recording and compressing video.
And Video Mail
This one appears to actually be a complete video capture system. And they say there's a digital camera included, but I wonder if that's the case. I kind of suspect that it's really just a composite camera you're supposed to plug in to the card. But really, video email or cybermail, they keep mixing the name up back and forth all over the box, is primarily a video capture card, not primarily a video email system. So let's see what we actually have in here. Oh man, look at all this stuff. There's all this stuff in here.
Yeah, it looks like a strong
so
bad
this is
joke.
kind of a later
for
model.
Sure.
This is after Connexant
Oh my
bought,
goodness.
Brooktree, but this also has a BT878 capture chip on it, so pretty good quality capture for the time. Except in addition, they actually hooked up the FM radio receiver on this one, so it's got a separate input for FM there. And then we've got the same old horrible little boom mic that every single computer had for like 20 years. This must plug into a keyboard port to tap off power for something. I wonder if that's for running the camera. I'll bet that's, yep, that's exactly what it's for. Let's take a look at the camera here. Oh, absolutely. So as I anticipated, the box lies outright. It says this is a digital camera.
We've come such a long way.
Analog camera. There's the yellow composite cable right there. But because this is not digital and thus not USB, it needs power to operate. And I guess instead of including just a wall wart with a 5-volt supply, this thing has a little tiny DC plug of the wrong direction for this sort of device. And then you plug it into this guy here. And it taps power off of your AT keyboard port if you've got one, but if you don't, then what?
This is a
I see.
massacre
All right,
of
they
a
also have
device.
PS2
What the
ports,
hell?
too. I just didn't even notice it in my hand. Okay, so you plug this guy in there. You plug this into your PS2 keyboard port, and that fires up the camera. Then
oh my
you
gosh,
loop it back and plug the composite video into the card. You know what?
Yo.
I want to fire this thing up.
This is wild.
Okay, I'll need a PC. That'll do. All right, let's plug this guy in here and into the PVM. And hey, there we go. It's a completely ordinary composite video camera. Who's surprised?
Huh.
See, this thing probably has excellent macro capability. Yep. Yeah, all these little tiny
Extreme
cameras
close-up.
will focus way
Whoa.
in, as close as you want them to. All right, well, so they completely lied on the packaging. It's not a digital camera at all, and the whole thing just has this weird cheesiness to it. Like, getting the
box
name
is very excellent.
backwards on the box. Sometimes they call it Video Mail Extreme, sometimes Cyber Mail Extreme. And selling it with the name Video Email when it's really primarily a TV capture card feels kind of weirdly bait and switchy. I mean, it does apparently include Cybermail Video Email, which again,
Cybermail.
What was included with any of these things?
I love whatever 90s branding came up with because it's all like the most unhinged, trying to do their best thing ever.
But it still feels like they probably had one product they wanted to sell and tried to sell it in the guise of something else. Okay, so that's everything. Both boxes.
It just feels so incredibly unhinged.
Kind of
I love
crappy.
it.
But that was just sort of the computer store experience at this time. I got the impression from the description of what was in there that it was from about 1999 to 2001 or thereabouts. That seems to be the case. And yeah, I used to go to little computer stores and big ones like Fry's Electronics around that time. And I was fairly young, but I remember everything being kind of crappy. There were brands we know now like Logitech, but their product selection wasn't very wide. So when you wanted to get stuff that wasn't just the most basic product, like a 2 or 3 button mouse, you had to go into these brands like A-Open, for instance, that seemed to be all over the place, but I think were much like modern Amazon 6-letter brands, where it's really just some company that's rebranding stuff coming from 100 different factories, putting their own name on it, but you never really know what the quality level is going to be. So this mouse looks okay, but I know A-Open had other products that were just total crap.
You ever been to a Fry's?
But
I've
this was
never
what you
been
had.
to a
You went
Fry's,
the computer store,
unfortunately.
you found Micro Innovations or A-Open or Kensington.
Like,
and
the
you just
closest
bought
for me
what
was always
there,
the Micro
and
Center.
it usually was fairly dismal. And a lot of this
Micro
looks
Center.
fairly dismal. I'm no less grateful to the individual who
But,
sent
like,
it all to
dang.
me. This was fun. I'm glad I got to do it. And there was some interesting stuff in here. I'm really interested to find out what ActiveLink was. I'm incredibly curious what the game cam 3D tracking thing in here is. I'm
Okay,
guessing
no.
that it's
I
some
don't
kind of
entirely
scan.
miss
I'm
the
sure it's
90s.
not
I
really
almost
a
missed the
Kinect
90s.
or anything like that.
Just a
but
little bit, almost.
Super
just
curious to find out
almost.
what exactly it does do. And hey, maybe I'll get around to testing the wireless intelligent trackball or the AverMedia Intercam.
I still think the last item though was kind of wild because like they really just wanted to sell this thing, didn't they? But that was it was just a composite camera. Like damn. All right. That was a lot. But we've reached the end. We've reached the end of our day. We have a lot other videos that I wanted to show, but we kind of like did not have a lot of time. Mainly because we watched some pretty long TV shows and stuff. So that's okay. But don't worry about it. That just means we have more stuff for tomorrow next week. So that's cool. So thank you guys for joining. I very much appreciate it. Tomorrow is going to be something on our Discord. We're going to be having our BattleBots watch party, of course. It's going to be fun. If you're not into robots, you might want to give it a try. It's very great. It's very welcoming. You know, it's not too bad. So, yeah. And then that's going to be end of our week. And next week, we're going to have fun other stuff. So, thank you guys very much. I very much appreciate you guys. So, of course, end of the day, make sure you guys save before you go. Have a good one. And have a good weekend. Okay? See ya.